I met a gypsy.
Papa Brian Deegan.
Yeah, well, there's the kids.
That's some good kids, man.
Yeah, it's a good sport, right? It keeps you busy. It keeps the kids busy where they don't have a lot of time to do much else. So
yeah.
good.
So hey, you can drag this mic a little bit closer as well. Like the closer it comes, the better it'll be. Yeah, that's perfect.
Cool.
All right, man. Well, hey, first of all, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man. I've grown up watching Brian Deegan and appreciating the work that you have done, and now I'll say that I am looking up to you as a guy that hopefully one day I'll be a dad, and I can tell you that I look up to you more for being a dad now than any of the motocross stuff. And you know, talking to Haiden, like you've honestly made me a fan of your kid by showing the work that he puts in, and he's getting up before school, and man, like there's so many other ways your kid could go. You know, like the son of Brian Deegan is affluent, can do what he wants to do, good looking kid. There's a lot of ways that kid can go. But getting up at 7 a.m. prepping a Supercross track to put in motos before school, like, you did good.
Ah, thanks. Yeah, it's you never know, man. You never know. Like, I didn't expect this, you know, when I was growing up. I didn't think, oh, one day, you know, I'm going to be a good dad. I don't even know what that means. But, yeah, I was like, yeah, it's, you know, especially with my run with Mulisha and all that, you know, I guess I just the type of guy that goes from like so far from one side to the other. And that's what I like to do. Cause I like to experience life, you know, from all sides, you know. I've been to the lowest of lows, the highest of highs. And I'm glad, man. I'm glad because I've lived life of like 10 men, you know, so I'm stoked on that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, there's a whole few hours just in unpacking that. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe that's what even makes it more special on your end is just because like, dude, you're still in your prime, really. Like, you're a pretty young
For
dude.
what?
You're super, but you know what I mean? Like, you could still be doing essentially whatever you wanted. Like, if you still wanted to be like a rat bag dude, like you could do, you could literally do whatever you want, you know? So like,
yeah, I've thought about it. You know, trust me, that I'm a man. Those thoughts, like I talk to everyone about this, you know, I'm pretty open. Like, I'm a man. I have thoughts, right? I have man thoughts, you know, it's no secret. Like my wife knows, you know, it's you know, my kids know, like at the end of the day, it's, you know, I gave up a life of like, I don't know, you know, I gave up a life of like getting to travel the world and having the full attention on me and getting to do whatever I wanted and whatever I felt like, you know, and that definitely gave that up, you know, to be a dad. And it was, you know, not easy to give up those temptations, but yeah, I'm a guy that still thoughts go through my head. I'm like, oh man, you know, you think about that stuff, but it's all sacrifice, dude. It is what it is.
And so why sacrifice that?
I think I got to the point where, you know, I traveled the world. I went to Australia. You know, went to Australia on tour every year. We went, you know, so many different countries and really lived this lifestyle that, you know, I grew up pretty, you know, serious about racing. Didn't really drink a beer till I was probably like, you know, 19, 20. And you know, I was pretty, you know, I was all about focus of training and racing. And, you know, I didn't drink soda. I didn't eat candy. I was just like so wanted to win. And then, you know, that day came where I walked away from racing and Supercross because I felt like it kind of did me dirty. And, you know, whether, you know, later in life, I kind of realized it was my attitude, but, you know, I went to freestyle motocross, helped build that sport and that movement. And I got to be who I wanted to be at the time, right? So I got to like, I can party, I can be crazy, I can do whatever, and I'm getting paid to do it. And more crazy stuff I do, the more I get paid. And so that just fueled the fire. And then so yeah, we got to travel the world and be rock stars, you know. And I just guess you get to a point where you're like, all right, I've been there and done that. And you keep doing that. And you're like, wake up, the next day, you're kind of like, okay. Yeah. And, at some point you just like, I did it. I had, whatever. I lived that life and I did it and can't go on. I guess you could go on and do that forever. Like some rock stars do that. But it was time for, And I could name tons of them. But, at the end of the day, I guess it just came down to like, what is the next chapter? Where's the next chapter? What's the next challenge, right? That's my life. That's like I wake up every day. I'm like, what is the next challenge? Like, I just like being challenged. I like accomplishing things. And I felt like I already kind of milked that for what it's worth in the freestyle scene. It was time to go to the next challenge.
There's definitely, you can play a character of yourself, right? And when there's a incentive there to be the person that people think you are. And then it's like the more, and I mean, I feel that on a small level with this. Like, I know I could say some shit that's going to make a lot of people listen, and it's going to do this, it's going to do that. Yeah. And that is like a temptation, but that, there's like, I guess I feel like I'm in a lucky position to have seen and known a bunch of big people, and that have they've got to the place where you think you want to get to, and then they've all realized like, this comes with like some extra baggage that's probably not worth it. But it's like in your position, you're getting these huge checks and the Mulisha brand's pumping, and you like you're this fucking rock star god, dude, literally. And you kind of you sort of get to a point where you are just playing this character. Is that how it felt to you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you turn it up. I mean, I think anyone with any wisdom that's making a living off, being a character or entertainment realizes that you have to turn it up when you get on the mic. You're entertaining people, you're entertaining the crowd. Of course, you're going to turn that up. And, I was good at that for sure. But did we really live that life? Yeah. And was, I don't say many, but there's nights, I've got to get bailed out of jail and certain things like that. Yeah, like that was real. Like that really happened, So it wasn't like you say, oh, it was a show. Well, kind of. But yeah, you go from town to town. The hardest thing was going from town to town night after night. And we were like, you get wore out because you're trying to, I still have to ride. I still have to flip a dirt bike and things that are dangerous. If you're hungover, if you're, can't do it, you're going to pay the price. And so you still have to be somewhat, on level. And then you're going town to town. So every place you go, everyone's fresh and ready, right? They're like, oh, you guys just got to town. What do you need? We're going to party. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then we're like, dude, I'm just starting to feel better right now. And like, you're right back into it. And I think that was probably one of the harder parts, like trying to keep up with that. So that burns you out pretty quick.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. Like you're so right. Like you rock up to the next city, the next town. And then there's just all these people that are so hyped to see you there. But it's like, hey, dude, I'm 10 days old right now.
Yeah. You're just like, dude, here we go again. But anyway, it's not complaining. I'm just saying the realities of it,
Yeah. No, it's just cool to see such a 180 in a way, and like you seem like you've just fully been able to let go of all of the things that came with that, in terms of like you said, being the center of attention, and you're so you're in this position now where you're so giving to Haley and Cussing and Haiden, and it's really like you're making it about them so much when like people still would tune in to just watch you if that's what you chose to do.
Yeah, I think there came a point where I mean, long story short, I was really with Haiden. I really didn't want Haiden to race. Me and my wife Marisa were just against it. We're like, you know what? Let's not go down the racing road. I was really not into it. Like, it left a bad taste in my mouth. Like for what I had to go through with being a privateer and winning a Supercross, to like being a top 5 guy in the points and not getting any support. And that was tough for me. And I really didn't feel like I didn't feel really connected with moto when I left. Even though I loved it, it's always been my passion, right? I've always stayed up with it, but we rebelled. Like, we went anti-moto, anti-racing, and we went full freestyle motocross. And a lot of people don't realize, like, when that started, like, we were anti-supercross and motocross guys. Like, we were the guys, like, fully opposite. Like, we didn't want nothing to do with that. And then eventually they merged together once, freestyle guys, once our generation kind of moved on, and then the other guys came in that were like, oh, that's cool, man. I want to ride a factory bike. I want to have cool gear. And we're like, gear's lame. Like, we wore shorts and t-shirts, right? Like, we were like, we wanted to be skaters. We wanted to be snowboard guys. Like, we on dirt bikes. And like me and Metzger and, not Pastrana, but like there was that movement of the few guys that were the rebels in the beginning that set this standard. I'd say a lot of people don't realize, like, Metzger was one of the OGs with being a rebel. Like, he was just he was a fast rider. He won Loretta's. He was a sought after amateur, but he was one of those dudes who just got it. Like, as far as like I am different, and I'm into, tattoos. I'm into pierce, all the things before it was cool. And then he's like, I'm going to wear snowboard pants when I ride. And that's when he introduced me to a lot of people like Volcom and, Etnies before it was even Volcom. We were like one of the first athletes there. And, we were wearing Volcom vests at Anaheim Supercross when we were racing. Like, that was before even anyone thought about that. And so it was just such a cool movement. I mean, he was the first one to wear baggy jeans while he rode, like, and we all kind of followed suit of that, I don't know. I just thought it was such a cool time and era and movement, and you just then it faded out, and it'll never be repeated, dude. It'll just never will. So my point with that is I walked away from racing. I didn't think I was ever going to go back, to be honest. I love the sport. I went and watched the races, this, that, but I went when my son started riding for fun, and he would, hit the little jumps and stuff, and me and like Twitch and Feist, everyone would be hitting the ramps at my house, and Haiden would be there just watching, and he was so into it. And then he got into the dirt bikes, and at some point he just asked me to race, and I was like, oh man, I don't know, I want to bring him to the racetrack. I didn't even like kind of know where to start. It'd been so long, so that was probably 2012, 13. And I'd been all the sports since 99. And so anyway, we go to a local race, and I take him there, and he's in the beginner 50 class. And we were like just starting again. And anyway, then he raced, and I was like, oh, he did good. And then we ended up putting him we had him in the wrong class, because I didn't even know what class to put him in at the time. Then we put him in the right 50 class, and I was like, whoa. And he's like, no one can beat him. And I was like, oh, and then that was it. I was like, here we go, because I'm so competitive. And then we started going back to Loretta's and all the nationals. I'm like, dude, he's fast. And I was like, so then obviously it was like, and your kid, I guess what I noticed too, if your kid is any bit shows any desire into something that you love, all you need to give me is just a little bit. Like, I'm like, okay, he loves dirt bikes. He likes racing. That's all I need. I'm like, I'm in 110%. And that's where we ended up and why we're here today. And Hayden's, with KTM, and he's on the brink of, a factory ride. Everything that I didn't get. So I don't know. It's pretty cool to see it this time around.
Yeah, dude, honestly, like, I'm 32 years old, and on Sunday, my dad rode his motorbike to the track to watch me and my brother ride. And 2 weeks before that, again, I'm 32, my brother's 30. My parents loaded up their truck. We loaded up our shit. We drove 6 hours, camped in a field, and did an 8-hour enduro. And I got there late. My dad changed my tire. Like, there's not many of I don't have many friends that aren't in motocross that are still as connected to their parents as I am. I'm a 30-year-old man, and I still hang out with my parents most weekends, so just forget the factory ride, forget the, what a motorcycle can do for you professionally. Like, I love my parents so much, and I hang with my parents so much. And that in itself, to me, is worth having your kid in it. I mean, the connection that you have with your kids through this is, and in an era, dude, like, not many not many families have connections with their kids, you know?
Yeah, because there's so many distractions now with the phone and this, that. A lot of access to more things now. But I agreed. Was there ever a point where you were, say, 18, 19, where you were kind of pulled away from your parents? Was there ever a time where you just kind of said, you know what, I'm got to go do my own thing and kind of separate for a while? Or were you guys always close?
Nah, man, honestly, like, I've pretty much always been real close to my parents, but I don't know if you know, so I lived in America for like 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I lived in Temecula. Yeah, so I lived in Temecula from in the US, but I moved to Temecula when I was like 22 or something like that. And it was in like 2010. I've been to your house a couple times filming.
Oh, really?
And yeah, like years ago. Actually with Cade Mosig and Josh Hansen.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, I kind of, like, there was a gap obviously from like living halfway around the world, but in terms of just close, like, I mean, me and my dad kind of came to heads over just like work shit. Like, I pretty much never got a job. Like, I just always had my own business. I was just like, I'll be a bum working for myself before I get rich working for someone else. So that was kind of where the clash come. But I mean, yeah, dude, through dirt bikes, like, that's sort of been the rock that keeps us coming back, you know?
Yeah. And I agree. I mean, there comes a point, I don't know. I think it's raising a daughter, then, boys, it's all different. But, Haley going to NASCAR was hard for me because I'm not a NASCAR guy. We did what it took for her to make it. I mean, she rode dirt bikes a little bit when she was young, but I just saw like that for my daughter, that I'm like, the future for her in motocross was not the future I wanted to give her. Like, I was like, for my daughter, I wanted to put in the effort in work, but I love the time you spend with your kids at the races. So, hey, if you have a daughter and you're at the races with your daughter, you guys are spending that time together, great. It's priceless. If there's not an end goal and great. Oh, well, like at the end, you're spending that time with them. Great. But for me, I always have an end goal, and I'm like, we're working towards something always. So for Haley, I'm like, if we're going to put this much time into something, I want there to be an end goal that there's a big payoff. So I said, you know what, let's get into car racing. And that's when I started, I was into off-road trucks once I got out of moto and rallycross and made that transition. And then I got Haley into off-road karts and karting, and she started getting her skills in four wheels. And so I said, okay, there's a big future for females in car racing, just huge opportunities. And so I said, let's go down that road. So that brought her to, off-road and dirt, which there's not a huge future for girls in off-road and dirt. But there is a NASCAR. So we went to the pavement track. We did what we had to do to get her there. And so anyway, that snowballed. But the problem is there came a point where, she's 18, 19 years old. And you're like, okay, she's racing for Ford, for a NASCAR team in Charlotte. And she has to be at the race shop, every day pretty much. And I'm like, do we really, like, NASCAR's not my world. Like, that's not where I feel comfortable. That's not my people. And so, but I still thought it'd be a great future for Haley. So anyway, that sport kind of caused separation for us because she had to eventually be around her team and keep flourishing, which I feel like as a parent, I instilled everything I could in her at a young age that she should be fine. She should have a good future. But sport separated us because that's NASCAR and we're moto, and I didn't probably think that one out good enough. And I just thought, hey, let's just go down this path. So anyway, I thought, you know what? Maybe we'll spend a lot of time in North Carolina. The boys like being there. That's, Haiden likes riding there with Dax and Bennick. And so we have a good riding spot there. But if you're in dirt bikes, you have to be in Southern California or in Florida. And that's my opinion on this. And you got to be in Southern California to get on a team to make it to Florida to train. And so knowing that, I'm kind of like, well, we can't leave California. That's kind of where we got to be. So anyway, that's why we're still here. And, and other thing, I don't like it here. This is for me. I love riding dirt bikes still. And so Southern California, there's 10 tracks within an hour of my house. So, it's the place to be. But, getting back to what you said, like with Hudson, who, you know, my youngest at 11 now, he will he make it as a pro in Supercross and Motocross? I don't know. Like, odds are stacked against him for sure. Like, his passion, you know, he likes riding, but he doesn't take it as serious as Haiden, bottom line. So, but you always see, like, the Malcolm James scenarios. You always kind of have hope, right? You're like, the little brother may kick into gear at some point, right? So he has the opportunity and the tools in front of him with the tracks and everything at our house. But if I can just ride dirt bikes with him, as when we're older, like go spend the day at the track or go ride in the hills, you know, and enjoy the lifestyle of two wheels, I'm happy. I accomplished my goal. Like, I am okay with that. But with Haiden, we set a goal to be the best, to be a champion, and we are not stopping until we figure out if that's going to happen or not.
And dude, like, I just spoke to him for 15 minutes. That's his goal as well. That ain't your goal. Living through him, that's his goal. Yeah, and that's good. But like I said, I always say talk's cheap, and you know, when I see a kid getting up at 6, 7 in the morning to go running, to go ride his mountain bike or go, you know, ride his motocross bike, then okay, now I'm impressed. I'm a believer, you know. Now I'm believing, okay? Like, you know, that's just how I am. Like, show me and I'm back. If you want, I'll go running with you, dude. You want to go ride? I'll ride motos with you. Let's go. Like, whatever. Like, that's just the way we are at our house, you know. And the cool thing is, I always say, show me a mom, and I'll show you if the kid is gonna make it in motocross. And because it comes down to that too. Because if the mom's always babying the kid, oh, you know, it's okay, or you crash, let's baby him. Then you're gonna struggle, you know. The good thing I have with Marisa, she's hardcore, and she's like, she doesn't take any crap. You know, Haiden, like, if the bone ain't sticking out of the skin, is like, get back on the bike and finish the race. So I got at least that, you know, good part on the other half. Yeah, man. I like I said, to open it up, like, I look up to you as a dad, you know, just by seeing. Obviously, it's social media. I've met you in person a couple times. I feel like I know the drill with what you guys have got going on, and yeah, man, it really does seem like you're out there willing to walk the walk with him. There's no kind of handouts, and then there's obviously not this crazy pressure, because if there was this crazy pressure, it'd be on Huxon the same way that it's on Haiden, but it's not. Like, you know, they're different kids, and you've got this different kind of, this different kind of deal with them. But yeah, I mean, to the moto thing, like, I definitely was when I was a little bit younger. Like, I'm kind of getting to the age where I'm like, oh, I'll have kids here in the next few years, you'd think, and I was like, oh man, I don't want my kids to ride. I don't want this. I don't want that. And then I went on this trip, not last year, the year before, with my dad. We rode 2,000 kilometers from literally my uncle's backyard in Cairns to the very tip of Australia, and it took 10 days. We rode. I just rode a 450 motocross bike, and Dad had his bike. We had like a crew of us, and I just thought on that ride, I was like, I will never forget this. Like, I'll be an old ass dude, and I will never forget doing this ride with my dad. And you know, to have something, and like, if you took that away from us, then like, we don't have that much in common. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, no, that's the thing. Yeah. I hear you on that one, man. Because my dad was a superintendent of the school system, never rode a dirt bike in his life. And our conversations are really quick and short. You know, it's like, hey, how you doing? Good. Yeah, good. Yeah. How's the weather? You know, and like, we don't have that racing to talk about. And I don't know, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. It's just non-existent with my dad. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, the you know, to have Haley moving away and to have her like with everything that's going on, like, I mean, I could see from her end, like, it just being hard to keep up with, like, all of the different directions that she'd be getting pulled in. And I mean, for my own personal, like, to give you in terms of like my relationship with my parents, like, for example, my mum, I'm super, super close to my mum, like a full mama's boy. But man, I don't really reply to that many texts anymore, and she lives like 45 minutes away, and I should make more effort than I do, and but like I get inundated with shit these days. Like there's a lot of messages, there's a lot of scheduling, there's a lot of like my brain is constantly thinking about like what have I got to do, and unfortunately like. This is to me to like maybe defend Haley's position a bit. I'm like, dude, my mum knows I love her, right? And that's probably the same thing where she's like, Dad, come on, man. Like, I love you. I just got me shit to do.
Yeah. And I get it. Like when I left home, 18 years old or 17, whatever it was, when I graduated high school, like I took off to California from Nebraska, and I was like, I'm not turning back. And I really didn't call my dad that much at all, just because I was on a mission. And but, we talk almost every day now, but it's part of growing up. It's part of that deal.
Yeah, and it's just those seasons that you go through, right?
Yeah, and I think at the end, after all, you have to realize like you have to be able to trust your family, and your family is like they say they really are the ones that should always be there. You should always be able to rely on your family, and you can't pick your parents, and you can't, it's like your brothers and sisters. I mean, in your family, you're not getting rid of them. They're there, I feel like those are the ones that you should really like support each other no matter what. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So when you were having kids and you kind of had this mentality of like you're committing to the kids and you're like, all right, we're going to do this. What were your biggest fears given the fame that you've got, the money that you guys have got, the privilege? Like privilege is such a loaded term. So I'll lay that out there because exactly what you just said of like, you can't pick your parents. So you get Haley, and she's born into this world. She got no control over the fact that her dad's famous, the fact that you guys have money, like all this, that's not in her control. So you can't, the privilege, loaded term. But, but then there is a reality of like, she ain't ever going hungry. She ain't ever going without the things that she wants. So, but there's kind of like a problem in that, right? Because like if you didn't have an easy life, you had a pretty tough road and you had to be real self-sufficient. And I bet there was a bunch of times where you're at a gas station tripping out on how you're going to pay for fuel. And in her case, that's probably not the case and in any of your kids. So like as a parent that's in that position, like what are the fears that you've had for your kids?
Yeah, I always wonder if like success skips a generation, and I feel like I've thought about that. I've studied that. There's a good book called Outliers, and it's a book that explains why people become successful, and it's a really good book. Like you should check it out. It's on Audible. That's the way I listen to most of my books. I'm not a great reader. I will read if I have to, but I listen to Audible so much better. So anyway, that is something that you worry about, like, because I worked super hard. I didn't have, I came out here on no money, and I, slept on my buddy's couch, when I lived with Metzger, and I slept, on his floor basically until I could afford to pay for a room. And then it started from there. And I just remember I only had enough money to literally buy bread and peanut butter and jelly. Like that was like my deal. And I made enough money on the local pro races that I could pay for my gas and my truck payment to go so I could keep going. But I was so driven not to go back to Nebraska. Like that was my goal. Like I'm not going home. So I really, really went out going to meet people and tried to open my network. But like I had to do that. Like that was my sink or swim deal. So now, and that was, before social media, before cell phones, all that stuff. And so the point is with my kids, they like literally Haiden walks out front and he's got a Supercross track in his front yard. He's got Works bikes in the garage. You know what? Because I like that stuff. He had a 50 that was like a Works 50 because I like that. He don't care. Like at the end of the day, that to me was badass. Like I didn't get that when I was a kid. So I built that. Like, but how do you make them appreciate it? And that's the hardest thing as a parent. You always want to spoil your kids. You always want to give them kind of what you never had, but you have to take time to teach them it takes time. Discipline takes time. And a lot of people don't want to take the time to do that. And I felt like I have stopped what I'm doing to say, you know what, Haiden, here, let me show you how to do this. Let me show you how to wash your bike. Let me show you how to do the filter. Let me show you how to, like, these things so he understands it. Otherwise, it's really just my fault. But I feel like, yes, am I worried my kids are going to be too spoiled to really want it and really succeed? I feel like, yeah, that thought crosses my mind, you know, but I've always been pretty strict. Like, hey, if we don't reach these goals, then this is going to happen, or you're going to have to go do this, and you're probably not going to like to go do that. So let's do this. And, but yeah, it's half the battle for sure is, your kids, you know, they have everything at their beck and call. I mean, the best life if they want to take it. And, I don't know, man, that's the toughest one. I haven't figured it out. You know, I figured out how to make my kids champions, you know, but I don't know, how long will this carry, and how long will, I don't know. Like, if I step out of the picture, are they going to be okay? I don't know, man. It's a tough question. That one's a tough one.
Yeah, man. It's I could see that being the thing in your mind, and you know, if you're a good parent, like, that is probably the thought. And I mean, dude, from my own personal experience, like, there were points in my life where if you asked me as like a kid, I mean, I don't know what age, maybe like 14, 15, I would have said I hated my dad because of the shit that, yeah, dude, for sure. Because he was a hard motherfucker, like hard, dude. Like I mean, there was times where Dad was building like an extension on our house, and we weren't allowed to ride. Like, we could only ride on the weekends, and Dad's like, yeah, man, sorry, bikes are over. Like, we got to build this shit. And he's like, you're helping. And there was just like, we complained about it, and we like, yeah, he was just like, dude, this is what it takes. Like, you have to do this. And it was like months of not riding because we were helping Dad put a roof and, you know, like, build all this shit. And then it was like, I just resented the dude for it so much as like this dumb kid. And I look back and all of the things that I would have told you as like a dumb teenager, like, I hated my dad for this, they're the lessons that now are just like so valuable to me. I'm like, if I didn't have that, if that dude didn't like grill me so hard, I actually wouldn't be even close to the man that I am. But as a parent, like, and now I've got this different perspective of like looking back at, you know, Dad being so hard on us. Like, he probably didn't want to do that. Like, it probably wasn't fun for him to do that. But like, in his head, I mean, I'm sure he knew, like, this is the shit you need to know to be a good human in the world going forward. It's like, suck it up right now. And now I've got the perspective where I'm like, damn, I'm a hardworking dude because of that.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, it's no secret, right? The discipline you teach your kids, you teach them at a young age is what comes out in the future. You know, you want to baby your kids. Oh, it's okay. And like, oh, you know, you always will have money. You always have a car. You're always going to have a phone. Oh, you want to stay on your phone all day? Oh, no problem. What do you think you're doing? What do you think you're doing to mold this human being? You know, and it's like, you know, oh, they got older. All of a sudden they have no respect. They're in trouble all the time. That, you know, you're like, yeah, that's the structure you built. And it hurts me. Yeah. Like I say, it hurts me just as it hurts you when I got to discipline you, but it has to be done. And trust me, I hate it. I hate discipline. And my wife's always like, you need to be more strict on the kids. And I'm like, because I'm more, believe it or not, like, I'm pretty passive. Like, I let a lot of stuff slide until finally I met my limit. When I meet my limit, that's it. Then I snap. Then I'm like, this is going to get done right now. You're going to go do it. And that's when they're like, all right, you know, like, and they listen. But, you know, I don't know. I feel like I'm the typical dad, you know, because, you know, dads are usually pretty go with the flow until they get mad. But no, I agree. If you don't take the time to teach your kids how to work when they're young, they're not going to do it when they're old. You may get lucky, you know, and they may pull it off later. And a lot of people are like, oh, they can do video games now and make tons of money. They can do the social media, make tons of money. You know what? It's still work. Like, at the end of the day, it's all still work.
Right?
Like, yeah, right? We have a YouTube channel, and we don't just wing it. You know, we don't just film on our phone, hey, what's up, and then post it and it works. Like, no, it's work. It's a job. And it takes time, it takes hours, and that's all learned through growing up, how to work and how to take things serious, how to understand the value of a dollar. Like all that has got to be taught when they're growing up, you know? And I don't know, I can't stress it enough, and I've lived it, you know? And I'm scared. Yeah, I'm scared. Am my kids going to be spoiled and like, you know, and be these lazy, you know, parents that expect everything? I don't know. I don't know. I think I've made it with the first two pretty good. Hudson's still young, you know, so he's, you know, but yeah, you know, I don't know. I think we've done all right job so far with what we have. Like, we're a fortunate family. We've been blessed. We have a lot of stuff. I mean, what more could I ask for? You know, I have enough everything, you know. I always say, what's enough? Like, how much money do you really need? Like, you know, and I, you know, I was a point in my life where I chased money so hard, and I was like, man, I just want to make millions of dollars. I want to keep stacking money, and then it got to the point where I'm like, man, how much money do you really need to be happy? Like, our success, what is success? And then the more I became a parent, I'm like, man, I just really, as long as your family is you guys are together and love each other, and you know, all have each other's back, I'm like, that's pretty good. I think I'm fine, you know. So I don't know, just one of those deals.
Was there a point, like, literally, was there a dollar sign where you were like, fuck, I don't need more than this?
I don't think anyone has that, right? Everyone wants more money. But no, I have a number that I said, you know what, when I get to this number, that's my retirement number. That's the number I'm going to be like, okay, we're good. We are set. We'll never have to work again, which whatever that means, which I'm always going to work, right?
You're working every day.
I'm working. I mean, I love it. That's what I want to do. And I've been, you know, I have been fortunate enough to build a career upon having a fun life and doing what I want every day and getting paid to do it. You know, I don't know if I'm getting paid to do it, but I'm part of the system. I'm part of the system. You know, big fish, little pond theory, motocross, supercross, the whole industry, it's a small pond. You know, as much as when I went to NASCAR, I realized how small motocross was. You know, I was like, dang, this sport that I thought was so big was so small compared to like NASCAR or football or baseball. So anyway, I just felt, you know what? I love moto. I'm going to try to be big fish, little pond theory. And that's what we've done. And, you know, I've been able to do well for that. And like I said, I have a number in my head, and I said, when we reach that number, that's our retirement number. So yeah, I do have a number.
Is that being reached or not yet reached?
I'd say, yeah, it's been reached, but in a way of net worth, you know, I'd say, you know, like, I'm not a big guy that just sits on, you know, just let's stack cash. I like properties. I like businesses. I like stocks. I like, you know, I like things that create profits that grow. And I've learned that over the last so many years. So yeah, you know, I've reached, by far surpassed my goal in property and net worth for sure. For sure. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm always still building because I enjoy that, you know?
Yeah. And the way that, and the way that you do build is like fun stuff to do.
Yeah. Like, I didn't have to do a YouTube channel. You know, we didn't have to do that, but I'm like, dude, we're doing all this cool stuff, and I'm posting this on Instagram every day, and Instagram doesn't pay me crap. You know, I'm like, so why am I building this network for these guys? And I'm like, what network can we film and just post our life and have it pay us to where we can use that money to pay for gas, pay for the rig that's going down the road, pay for the driver, pay for the mechanic. These are real expenses that cost 6 figures a year plus some. Okay, so yeah, the big YouTube money that comes in for ad rates, which it's built over the years, it's doing good, but that goes straight back to the system, the circle of racing. And so I always say, give back to the community, and that's kind of what we do. We're giving back through with our social and our network and bringing new people into the world of moto, because, you know, we have, like I said, over 1 million subscribers on this dirt bike channel, and we're bringing in a lot of new people to the sport, you know. And so anyway, that's feeding into the ecosystem of our racing world, and it brings money in. We put it right back in, right? We're like, you know, paying to go race, paying to go to this track, but, you know, buying whatever in the dirt bike industry, paying employing people in this industry. So yeah, I mean, we found a way to keep feeding the machine.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm sorry to push on the money thing, like, but I mean, in my head,
you can
in
look
my
up
head,
so
like,
the first
I mean,
thing. No, saying
oh, I
sorry. The
don't
first thing
care
you
to
look
know.
up. No. The first thing when you Google Brian Deegan, like that's like the first thing that pops up, and I'm like, it says Deegan's net worth, like, and it's I don't know, it's a big guess, I guess, at it, but it's funny that that's like the first thing that comes up, and but whatever, it's all good.
Well, it's just it's interesting, like, so I mean, this whole Gypsy Tales thing is definitely getting more successful, which is really cool. Like, there's been years of work that's gone into it, 10 years of living in America like a fucking bum. Trying to make something completely different happen that didn't really happen, you know. So there's a lot that's gone into it, and now it's starting to do better. But like you said, it's a machine. I got employees and I got, you know, that sort of stuff. But dude, literally last night, man, I went for a walk with my dog, and I walked through some different streets, and I just saw this house, and like, I don't know, it was just a weird experience. I was like, I'm not like a things guy. Like, I don't really have nice things. I've got like nice dirt bikes, and like my next thing that I want to do with money is I want to make like a really legit jiu-jitsu gym in my basement. So cause like I don't have time to do my normal classes the way that I would like to. So I'm like, okay, I kind of need to do it here now. But anyway, so I was walking and I saw this house, and it was literally, dude, last night, first time in my life, I looked at a house and I was like, dude, maybe soon, like, I'm going to be able to live in my own house. Like, and it was fucking crazy to have that feeling, and money's always been a weird thing for me because it's something I've just never even had. I've never been able to have. I've never seen like a roadmap to making that kind of money. So to hear, like, that's why it's interesting to hear you talk about, like, I had a number, I had this headspace, because, you know, to me, like, I'm new to that world of even thinking about my future, dude. Like, that's the, you know what I mean? Like, that's the place I've been living in for so long.
Yeah. And I think it's foolish to think, you know, where people are like, oh, I'm not a materialistic guy. I don't care about money. Well, when you get married and have kids, you're going to care about it. You know, the bottom line is, because if you want to give your kids those opportunities, you know, like I deal with a lot of jealousy and I don't know, I'd say different emotions. You know, when we came back to racing, you know, you have a lot of parents that are, you know, they get these mini dads, which I'm one of them, you know, a mini dad that gets all dramatic with your kids when they race. Like, you know, right? Like little league parents. And so, and I was the guy running around the track chasing my kid on a 50 for sure. But, but you get those parents who are like, well, you know, Deegan's winning because he's got a factory bike and he's got the best suspension, he's got the best motors. And I'm like, you know what, dude? You had the same opportunity as I did when you were younger to go and break yourself off, take big risks, take big chances, and get paid. I did it. I went out and, you know, broke bones and, you know, took huge risk, and there was no internet. We put it on ESPN, and it was on, you know, all over the TV. And I did that over and over and over, and got endorsement deals and sponsorships and stacked money. And now I'm able to give my kids cool stuff. Bro, you had the same chance, man. I hate to put it brash, but I always, you know, hey, these kids, I'm like, well, tell your dad if he wasn't such a pussy, then you would have the stuff too, dude. Like, don't get mad at me, bro. Like, don't get mad at me. Like, I am the one who sent it, and who cares what I have, right? I have what I have. Go get what you're going to get. We're all in the same world. We're all in America, bro. Like, this is a free country. Go send it. There's the internet now. Go hit a big jump. Go make some money, dude. And I get it. That may sound brash, but dude, whatever. It's reality, dude. Don't get mad at me because I took big risks and got paid and give it to my kids, dude. I could stack it in the bank and make my kids go to school and not even touch it, but I didn't choose to do that, you know?
Hey, amen.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can sugarcoat it for you, but that's just kind of how it goes down.
Well, I mean, that's kind of not what we do here. So
yeah. No, good. And that's why I like what Jett Lawrence said the other day, you know, and everyone's like, oh, whoa, you called Mosman whatever brainless and da-da-da. And I'm like, cool, dude. That was a good interview, man. That was good. Like, he's a kid. He's a teenager, and he's speak your mind, dude. That's what the sport needs. We don't need more guys with just same answers. I always was so anti that in racing. If you have time, look up 1997 LA Supercross and see what I did when I won the race. See what I said on the mic. That, to me, was what the sport needs, in my opinion. You guys, like the top factory guys, are like, oh no, we need, that's not it. But you know what? That's what brings entertainment. You're selling tickets to a crowd to fill a stadium. Tell me they're not there for entertainment. Okay? Who's the characters? The characters, are the riders, so, Jett Lawrence gets the biggest cheers in the crowd because he's a great character. He's a great personality. He says what he is on his mind, and I think that's what he needs to keep doing. And hey, there's one thing too. I always thought, just say it, if you can back it up, that's even icing on the cake, right? That's even better. You go down the list of guys who were pretty good talkers and characters and they didn't win. Yeah. Oh well, but they still probably got more than the other guy because they were a great character. And you see like WWE, WWF, whatever is built a whole biggest UFC industry on it, right? UFC's, come on, you tell me the UFC they aren't getting this guy to fight with this guy, and you buy into it like, oh man, that's a good. These guys hate each other. I'm gonna buy that pay-per-view. It works every time, right? So why is this not in motocross? Why is people haven't figured this out? Jett Lawrence is figuring it out. I'm sure when he sees Mosman, they probably laugh, giggle, whatever. Like, they ain't like fighting in the pits, but great. Mosman should come on there and be like, you know what? This is what I think of Jett. That's kind of the rebuttal he should have, right? And it would be fun. It brings people to this. Remember Stewart, right? Stewart, was good on the mic. He always had the battle with Chad Reed, and they hated it. That was good. I mean, that was great for TV, man. I don't know. That's just the way I am.
And dude, think about this, right? So I had Sleater in here yesterday, and we were talking about the whole Jett thing. Like, we watched his clip, and I've known Jett since he was a kid, so like he's one of my boys forever. He can never shit the bed as far as I'm concerned. But we were talking about it, and it's like, okay, so you got that kid that says maybe he went too hard on Mosman, whatever, that's open to interpretation. But you've got that kid that's willing to say that in an interview, and then that same kid is willing to ride up to Joe Schmoder, who just beat him in a main event for, like a lot of money, and then throw his bike on the ground and just like hug his friend and just like lose his shit because of like how happy he was for his friend. So it's like, the problem in motocross, and this is a big thing that I've tried to be like an advocate for, and like on this show, like I try and just say whatever because it's what should get said, it is that like if you're gonna squash a guy like Jett, if you're gonna shit on him for saying like you shouldn't have said that about Mosman, this is wrong, blah blah, if you're gonna squash that, then you also squash him hugging his mate on the podium and being that excited for his friend. You just kill all of it. So you got to be really, really careful in the sport from like a media and a fan perspective of like shitting on people, because you shit on the bad, then you're not going to get the good. And people have to be very, very careful. And it's the same thing that happened with James, dude. James is just like, fuck this. I'm over it, dude. Like, I don't need this shit. And then you don't, and you don't see the good from James Stewart because you were so critical on the bad. And it's like, that is the problem with not embracing everything that people do. You can't have the super hype Jett that's pumped for his friend while also shitting on that part of him.
So why do you think that why do you think you can't have one without the other? What is that? You know what I'm saying? Because everyone wants to see the great side. Everyone, oh, that's okay, but don't do the bad side. Why do you think that? How do you think that could work? So I think when like, all right, this is the analogy. When you've got a pretty shit chick, right? And you're dating this chick, and it's like she expects this certain reaction out of you. Like, she's coming to you saying her day sucks and her boss sucks or whatever. And then instead of like being able to just say the shit that you want to say, like give her the proper advice, like, hey, he's your fucking boss. He's allowed to say what he wants to say. Suck it up. You can't say that, right? So you give like the sugar-coated version. And then like, so you just wash it all down. You water it down. You say the boring podium speech just so that just in case the reaction isn't perfect.
That's what these dudes are doing. You end up saying, like, crucifying the dude for, like, speaking on Mosman or saying some dumb shit or whatever, right? So then every time he's like, oh man, I was just saying what was on my mind. Okay, so I can't be myself because it's all like I need to nail the reaction so specifically just to get by on smooth sailing. So then they just go, look, path of least resistance. I ain't saying shit. I ain't gonna be happy. I ain't gonna be sad. I ain't gonna be up. I ain't gonna be down. I'll just give you. It's just the chick. I'll just be like, oh man, your boss sounds like such a dick. That's so. That's what a bummer, man. Like, yeah, fuck that. You know. But instead, you need to be like, pull your head in. But you don't. So you don't say the things that you want to say because you just know that if you don't get it right, you're gonna get roasted.
Yeah, and then there you have NASCAR drivers right there. That's exactly why you have the NASCAR drivers you have that say what they say at their interviews, because they stay in that gray. They stay in the good that non-controversial area because
the Goldilocks zone.
They don't want to. Yeah. Which motocross is a gnarly sport. Jumping dirt bikes, hundreds of feet, landing on each other, breaking bones, blood, guts, this, that, highs and lows, and you need to let that come out, right? That needs to come out. And yeah, if a rider just got done racing and he's got some aggression, dude, let it say it, man. Let it out. Like, go. Like, you guys don't understand, if you've never raced a dirt bike, that when you take that helmet off, you're in a different mode. You're in a like basically beast mode, kill zone. Like, you're like, I couldn't even remember what happened during the race. Like, for Jett to have enough wherewithal to like hit the jump and flip the dude off, like, that was pretty dope. Like, I'm like, I wouldn't be thinking of that. I'd be thinking of like I'm just pinning and I gotta, like, I don't know, I'm racing. Like, I don't know. He's kind of smooth and like, okay, yeah, you pissed me off, I'm flipping you off over the jump. I'm not in the just racing in the podium position right now, and so all that stuff's so cool, and I love to see it. And I agree, you shouldn't be crucifying these guys for that stuff. You're building them up, which they are. You know, I think the media guys are jumping on that. You know, the one thing I find it very two-sided and double standard, which I don't like when I watch, like, say, a sport of NASCAR, where they're like, oh, you have to be a certain way when you give this interview, but we're gonna blow that. Like, when you said something, or you punched that guy, or when you said the wrong thing, we're gonna put it front and center on everything. And make up your mind, which one do you want? You know, which one gets the views, you know, and I hate, like, I can't deal with that. Like, that's why I like moto. Like, let the dudes say what they're gonna say. You know, I feel like McAdoo had a lot more to say with everything that happened to him in the last few races. I'm like, this dude's got to break out of the shell and say something. But I really think that's him. I really think he's just a nice guy and was like, you know, I just got taken out and it just ruined my championship. But, you know, I'm not even going to mention that. And I just really had a rough day. I'm like, that wouldn't have been me. I'd have been like, this motherfucker, like, he took me out. He ruined, like, I worked my whole life for this, and this dude doesn't get it, and he has revenge on pro circuit, and he's taking it out on me. This is bullshit. Like, I don't know. I would have been more that guy, but maybe that's just not him. You know, maybe that's not him. You know, every guy is a little different, I guess.
Yeah, and dude, you're so right, man. Like, that was the probably the most famous example is when Conor McGregor threw the dolly at the bus. You remember that?
Yeah.
And then so like, well, another. So I'll finish that example. But you got so he throws the dolly at the bus, and then everyone just like, fuck Conor McGregor, like, that's a blah blah blah. And then what is in the highlight of every single commercial that you see for that pay-per-view, which was the biggest pay-per-view ever, and dude, I would have seen that dolly hit that bus 1,007 times.
Yeah, you know, and that's like, for example, where I got when I won the Supercross and Ghost rode my bike over the finish line, and they took my money. AMA fined me, took my prize money, which was a whopping $1,000, and then of course, what was on the highlight reel of Supercross, dude? The Ghost ride.
Yep.
I'm like, bro, which one? Make up your mind, dude. Like, you know, anyway, but then they go, well, we have the entertainment side, which is, you know, Feld or, you know, Clear Channel, whoever it was at the time. And then we have the AMA, which is the rules. There's two separate sanctionings. There's one that's entertainment and one that's rules. So I'm like, okay, I get that. I wasn't on the best side of the AMA by no means, you know?
Yeah. No, but you're so right, man. Like, even in Australia, like our NASCAR, like the V8 supercars, man, Chaz Mostert is one of like the young not up and coming. He's like one of the young, like hot dudes, and wins a race, does a donut in front of like thousands and thousands of fans, and then they find the guy, and then they use that in the commercial for the very next weekend, and you're just like, come on, guys, like we've got to let these guys do their thing. And I always talk about the UFC, and people probably fucking get sick of me talking about it, but it's like they've figured it out, man. And even Dana White, like that sport has a figurehead, right? That, you know, so he goes up at the press conference, and then so they just have this amazing card last weekend in Florida, sold out stadium, first time in a year. First question is about Jake Paul, and the CEO, a billionaire, goes, "Why the fuck are you asking me that question? Fuck off." You know what I mean? And like like that to the media.
He does. He can.
We all can. I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all, because like, and people need to just get their head around it. Like we are in this like weird old school. I mean, I know for TV and stuff, but hey, works for them. They let it fly. They build. I'm not saying that Dave Prater should get on and start swearing at everybody. Like that's not my message. But you can embrace these things a little bit more. Like what Jett said is so PG-13 about Mosman, and it's even a topic. It's like, come on, bro.
Yeah. Exactly. So PJ. So who would be the Dana White of Supercross?
Prater. I want him to be that guy.
Really?
Dude, I would love. I've never met Prater. I follow him on Instagram. He never messages me back. But like, but I want that dude to just start. I want that dude to start coming up. I mean, I think there's room for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it'd be cool. Supercross, if they had their figurehead, their guy. I think it used to be Larry Huffman, man. He used to he'd be the last guy that carried the torch properly, you know? Yeah, he wouldn't make it too far in the PC culture today, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that the problem is Feld is like family company, Disney company. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think it's possible with Feld. I think we're barking up the wrong tree on that one.
Yeah, for sure. No, I get it. I've met the Feld family, and they're a family that they're only gonna push so far for sure.
Yeah, which makes sense. We sort of touched on the YouTube channel. It's definitely something I'd love to really talk about. Because I don't think I know how hard it is to have 1 million YouTube subscribers, because I have 50,000 subscribers. You know what I mean? What you guys have done is mind blowing. And I mean, I sort of mentioned it to Haiden before when he was on and we were having a chat, like, hey dude, you are doing work for this sport. Like, you are an ambassador in such a crazy way, and the sport of like, I want to be at Hayden's first Supercross race to see the line of people at whatever team he's on. Like, it is going to be crazy, dude. And I mean, I don't know if you can see it coming. I don't know if he can see it coming, but like, I don't think you guys have any idea even the impact until, you know, that first kind of Supercross race. But like, dude, you're bringing a whole audience and a platform to this sport, and I don't think you're celebrated enough for it. I know you're not out here trying to be celebrated for it, but it's extremely special what you guys have created, and the work that it has taken for you guys to achieve that is absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate that. Like, I beat my head against the wall sometimes, man. Like, I look at the numbers, and, you know, there's months we had 10 million views a month, you know, and that's a big numbers. Those are numbers that companies fight for just for their marketing, and their, like, big companies. I run our numbers against, you know, all the top energy drink brands. I run them against all the top action sport brands, and we are better, you know, if not equal to, close to the biggest brands spending millions and millions of dollars to market their companies. We are right there as far as numbers. And you know, was that our goal? No, we were just going to film our family. We're going to film what we do, because every day we do something I think pretty entertaining, pretty cool. You know, if it's just the mission of raising a young kid in a sport to be a champion, I mean, you guys, are able to follow along with that story. And I mean, just think there's going to be a lot of people that have watched Haiden since he was a little kid to, God willing, be lining up at A1 or whatever it is, that first Supercross, and they have followed that whole journey. If I could have followed James Stewart since he was a little kid on video, I would have been like, dude, I would have been all about it. I would have been all over that, right? I'd have been like, dude, what's he doing today? Like, I'd be just Ricky Carmichael. I'm sure he probably had the coolest upbringing with, like, they didn't have a ton of money, and what he did to get there, what his parents sacrificed, and they don't get enough credit still. I feel like either the parents are like, that story is being told, and I wish more people would tell their stories. That's one thing I think people could do more. Everyone has a phone, and YouTube's open to anyone. But to get to the level where we're at, we have 3 full-time filmers, editors. These guys are on payroll, right? They're working out of an office. They're, it's growing. It's growing by the day. And for a 2-wheel moto deal, I think it's become one of the biggest channels in dirt bikes. And you look at the numbers, and I've sent those numbers to sponsors, and I think it's weird because sometimes, like, I feel like the majority of the sponsors don't get it. I don't know. Maybe I feel like sometimes I'm barking up the wrong tree, and I'm just kind of like, do you guys understand how much numbers this thing's got right now? And I don't know if they're just like, well, we already got you for free, so I don't want to bring it up. Like, I don't really want to talk about that, but. I don't know. Like I said, it's growing. We're gonna keep at it, keep doing it, and I don't know. I don't know what the next steps are. All I know is we save all our content. We have archives of hard drives of terabytes of just years of documented footage. Content's king, man. Content's king. There's always going to be platforms. There's always going to be new places to put your content. Now we're, starting to, regurgitate, like, Facebook came at us and was like, man, we got a lot of good old content, man. What do we need to do to start getting that back up? And we're like, okay, what are we talking, man? What's our CPM? What's our ad rates? What are you guys willing to do? Like, so, like, all this stuff is valuable. And so I don't ever feel like we're wasting time, because worst case, we always have this documented library of our life, of our kids, of, if I could look back at what I did when I was in 5th grade right now and pull that footage up, I'd be stoked. But all you're going to see is maybe a picture on Facebook I found from some high school girlfriend or something. I don't know. If you're lucky, Anyway, I feel like we have a lot of cool documented content, and our YouTube channel is our main form of where we're pushing it. But, new stuff's coming up all the time. Instagram's now just starting to monetize. IGTV is just starting. Facebook's been monetizing for a while. And I've had a few older guy comments going, why do I have to watch ads every time I watch your content? I said, okay. Just know, like, when you open a magazine, let's say you open Racer X and you're like, wow, there's an ad. Are you mad at let's just say, are you mad at Tomac when he's in an Alpine Star ad? Are you mad? No. Are you going, that's a cool shot. He's railing a turn. That's cool, whatever. No. So the point is, when you see an ad on YouTube, like such as our YouTube, know that's paying us, right? So that's good. That means there's money going into the system. That means I'm getting some pay to go pay for my gas, to put in my motorhome, to put in my coach, put in my filmer's pocket, my filmer's food, their flights. All that's thousands and thousands of dollars to generate to give you a video at the end of the day, which we try to do 4 or 5 videos a week. Remember when it was 1 video a year called Crusty Demons or Moto Triple X? Do you remember those days? Well, those days don't exist anymore. Those videos happen every day now. So my point is, that takes money. And when you see ads now, be stoked. Be like, hey, that rider's getting paid. Like, and that's why we say support the people in our sport. When an athlete's doing a video or doing a product line, support it, man. Like so when you see an athlete putting out a product, and it may be a little more expensive than the other product, who cares, man? Support that product, dude. That's my opinion with riding, with racing. And I was so competitive when I raced motocross. I hated the competition. And I'm like, why was I like that? And is that just the way it was in moto? And then I did X Games and everyone was cheering on each other. Like, Pastrana's going for the double backflip. I remember talking to him backstage that night, and I'm like, wow, man, that's crazy, dude. Good luck. I really, hopefully you pull that off, because if you don't, this is going to get gnarly. I remember that conversation. I wasn't like, man, I hate Pastrana, and I hope you don't make it, because I want the attention tonight. Like, that didn't exist in X Games, man. Like, but it exists in Moto, right? So my point is, if there's other competitive companies within Moto that athletes are doing, support it. It's all one small little ecosystem family, and everyone needs to support everyone in it, you know? And I get it's the same thing with media, same thing with racetracks, same thing with promoters. Oh, I don't like that promoter. He doesn't do this or that. We need to get all the amateur nationals to our track. You know what, dude? Support all the guys. Support it all, because everyone needs to survive in this sport. And this has been the best years we've ever had in amateur motocross. Sold out. You can't sell out amateur motocross. Like, they keep selling those entries. They don't care. But you know what I'm saying? They just keep lining them up down the field. But the point is, this is the best years we've ever had. Quit complaining, man. This is the most people have ever spent on motocross. Bikes are sold. You can't even find a dirt bike right now. You can't even find parts right now. Dude, this is the best it's ever been. This is the full reset, okay? So right now, there shouldn't be anyone mad at anyone. Everyone should be supporting everyone. All we should be worried about is, how do we get more people that don't know what a dirt bike is into this world? That's all we should be focused on right now. And so I think that's why, going back to the YouTube, that's why we appreciate people's support, because I think that's what we're doing with our YouTube channel.
Man, I can tell you the messages, like the volume of messages that I get about, like, dude, I just, like, send me a picture on Instagram. Dude, I just bought a 2000 RM250. I haven't had a dirt bike in 15 years because of the podcast. So that's me with 50,000 subscribers. So, like, what you guys would be doing for this sport, and it's like, people, you're so right, like, people need to get off whatever fucking hate wagon that they're on, if they are on it, and just fully embrace it, because it's like a rising tide floats all boats. And what you guys have done, like, you've definitely, like, you've lifted the tide. Like, if we're in this industry, like, we're all coming up with that. So, like, for me to see the impact that this channel has, and then times that by fucking 50x to you guys, and it's like a younger audience as well. It's just like, man, it's a super special thing. And you're right, dude. Like, it takes so much work. Like, before Ronan started working here, so shout out to Ronan, by the way. I got, like, 18-year-old kid, just fucking kills it. Moto kid, come on board. Super hard worker. It's like massively helped this business. But before that, dude, like, I was over it, man. Like, I literally had put everything into it. Like, I like hated myself because of how much I had to listen to my fucking voice doing this podcast. You know, like, it is just this crazy grind, and it takes, like, a lot of money to make this just a sustainable business that you can actually keep posting the videos. It's like, it is so much. That's why there's no other dude out there with 1 million YouTube subscribers. You know what I mean? Because it's so fucking hard to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. That is a good point. You're like, why is there not more? Because it's there. YouTube's there. The cameras are at the store. Like, why are you not building your own YouTube channel? You're right, because it is a lot of work. It is when you're already, like, trying to work on your dirt bike, trying to get to the track. You know, you got to document all that and edit it and put it up and make sure it's good, and, you know, you're not putting anything bad out. Like, but yeah, no, I agree. It is a ton of work. That's why there's not a ton of podcasts in Moto either. I feel that have hit. You know, you have your go-tos, but, you know, I did the podcast thing last year, you know, because I got approached by Podcast One, big podcast network. They brought me to LA. Hey, we wanted to do this deal with you. So I said I did. I committed to one a week, and it had to be a certain amount of time, and they got to edit it and do all this stuff. So anyway, it was one of the coolest things, because I got to have these in-depth conversations with people I wouldn't normally speak to that long. Like, I competed with Travis Pastrana all my life. Never yet did I sit down and have an hour conversation with him. And I did that with my podcast. That was a really cool thing that podcasting does. But it got to the point too for me. I'm like, okay, I got to put this episode out. I got to put this out. And the bosses are like, hey man, here we go. We got to get it done. So for me, I didn't like working on a schedule like that because I'm so all over the board with my kids and everything. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take a break from that season. And, you know, when I'm ready, I'm going to relaunch my podcast under my terms, under my thing. Maybe it's going to be live on Facebook. Maybe, I don't know. I'll decide where I want to do it. But I want to do like live guests, like they come on and have multiple guests and we cover subjects. And I think it is, you know, like I said, we had a lot of subscribers on our podcast. But I said, you know what, I'm going to take a break for a while and let me rethink my next strategy because it's work. It takes time. And for me, I'm like, it was more than just an hour of my day a week. It was a lot more than that.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it just is. However it is, from calling the guys, hey, let's make this day work. This day, oh, that day doesn't work. I have to cancel. Like all this stuff happens and you're just adding up another thing. And for me, did it turn a big profit for me? No. Like I didn't, like end of the day, I had a partnership with, you know, Podcast One. They got the majority of the money. I mean, this is fine because I had to learn how to do it. But at the end of the day, I'm like, man, for the time I have in my life right now, is this the well-spent time? And it wasn't. So anyway, I'm going to revisit that because I think podcasts are awesome. It changed my life. I'm the type of guy that has to learn all the time. So when I'm in the car, I listen to a handful of podcasts that are educational of business and marketing and all the things I want to learn, you know, Bitcoin, all the new money things. I'm always trying to learn about this stuff. So I listen to podcasts all day long. I have a podcast list of guys that I listen to, and I think it's just the coolest thing to learn. Like you can just learn so much, right? Like on podcasts. I don't know. I think it's cool.
Yeah, man. Dude, it's been... This thing, like to speak on my own experience, has been the most rewarding thing that I've ever done in my entire life. And I think that's probably that's why I'll shout out to the boys. That's why I'll keep doing it, even aside from like the financial side of it or any of the. Hang on. Oh no, sorry, the thing just cut out real quick.
You're good.
Yeah, sorry, the video is just frozen for a sec. Yeah, because man, it's so crazy to be able to like talk to somebody for, you know, like for me to sit here. Oh shit, Jacob, if you can hear us, can you just turn we've got the GH5 issue that we had before. Fuck, I can't even hear him now. How long are we going for? 43.
It's internet. It's not that bad. Oh, you lost your internet. I think it's the weather's weird right now. Hold on, let me see. I think I'm back. I'm back.
I'm just trying to reconnect the video.
Yeah, you're frozen, but damn it, fucking internet. Hold on.
Hey, do you want to check the Jacob info? I'm just gonna go to the toilet real quick.
Yeah, it's just my internet's being weird right now. Hold on. Let's see if it comes back. No, Cam's, yeah, you guys are frozen, but it's because of the internet's down. Yeah, it's on my end. It's like rainy and windy outside, so it might be fucking. Yeah, for sure.
Hey, sorry, dude.
It's all good.
Yeah, so we were just talking about the whole podcast thing, but yeah, dude, I think that there's something really special about getting to, you know, spend such a long period of time. Like for me to, you know, pick your brain about the like cliche stuff, I guess, like the stuff that's not going to go in a magazine, like about you being a dad and, you know, stuff like that. I mean, that I think it's the podcast thing, like really lets you like have a legitimate conversation with somebody, that because that art's gone now, you know, like to sit and talk for 3 hours face to face with no phone or anything like that. That doesn't happen in real life.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's weird, man. I don't know. I'm a different generation now, and you know, especially with the COVID deal hitting in, everyone, you know, working from Zoom. I don't know. It's kind of weird. The face to face, like I don't know, like the interactions are different. You know, it's I even think about that with my kids. It's just you know, that's why I felt it was so important. I felt it was so important for my kids to go to school. You know, and Haiden wanted to get homeschooled so bad, and I just said, you know what, that interaction with other kids, especially in an environment that they're not looking up to you. Like when you go to the motocross track, okay, yeah, it's a different vibe, right? And they show up and it's like, oh, you know, Haiden is put on a certain, you know, level, and at school they don't care. Like, you know, there's kids at school that pick on him, and there's kids at school that are his friend. There's kids that, you know, like it's the real life, right? That's life, and so that's why I thought that was super important. You know, Hudson goes to school every day, and Haiden is now homeschooled because of COVID deal that happened, and we started homeschooling him. And we're like, you know what? He got on a good training program. So he's riding 3 or 4 days a week, and he's right at that brink of turning pro, you know, and I'm like, it's right about time. I was fighting it. I was going to say not till 10th grade, but, you know, he's 9th grade. So I was fighting it, and I finally gave in because of the whole pandemic thing hit. And I was like, we got used to it, and I was like, you know what? We'll just stay homeschooled. But I always say, man, you don't get your work done or you start slacking and you're going back to school. You know, we'll put you back at your school, and it's not a big deal to me. He'll be fine. I mean, he went to school all the way up until last year, and I'm like, he was fine. He was winning nationals and winning everything, and I'm like, he went to school every day, you know, and I took him out 1 day a week to go to ride, you know, so we did it. But anyway, like, so yeah, that interaction is super important. Haley got homeschooled about 9th grade, which for a girl, I was okay with that because they kind of miss all that high school drama that happens with guys and girls, and so I was kind of okay with it. I was like, yeah, it's probably not a bad thing for my daughter not to have to go to high school if I was a dad, right? So anyway, she got out of it, but yeah, I think it's super important, the interaction with face to face with people, 100%.
Yeah, I want to touch on a bunch of the Haiden stuff in a sec, but that podcast that you did with Travis, I actually didn't know that you did that. What was that experience like for you guys? Because, dude, so straight up, first video I ever did a clickbait title. I don't know if you've seen it pop up on YouTube, but it's Travis Pastrana going, Brian Deegan was the real sellout, and it's almost got a million views. It was literally the first video I ever clickbaited, and I was fucking tripping posting it, because I was like, dude, I know this will get good views. I'd literally never had views on YouTube at this point, and I'd met you in person a bunch of times. I was like, dude, Deegan's actually the nicest guy. I was like, I hope he's not pissed off at this. But I mean, in that video. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's how I figured out who you were. Yeah, that video right there. That was the one that came on my social media. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, what is this? I'm like, and I was looking at it. I'm like, and it was Pastrana. And then I was like, I have to watch it. And so I watched it, and I was like, oh, all right, I see what they're doing here. And but it was cool because Pastrana, I like how he said it. And of anyone who could say it, he could say it, right? He has the credibility to say whatever freak he wants to say. But yeah, and it was cool. I like how he played it out, and I thought it was funny. But yeah, that's how I figured out who you were and how I figured out how everything was on that. That was a good play though. It worked. I assume that's probably one of your best viewed videos for sure.
It is still to this day my best viewed video, dude. So what? So fucking let's see if we can get it to hit twice. I want to clickbait the shit out of this next one. But like, what's your response to like that? Like, what was your mindset in, you know, to what Travis was talking about, where like he was always being himself and playing like I think Trav was so naive to like it seemed like you were the one that had the long game for everybody, and everyone else just had to do their thing, and it seemed like you kind of had the map laid out, and everybody just had to like play their part, and it was going to work out for everybody, but you had to look like a bit of a dick to make it happen.
Yeah, I felt like, you know, the bottom line is I always had a plan. You know, I always had it. Like I said, still to this day, I have plans, right, for everything. And I had a plan, you know. I said, okay, we're going to X Games. People are starting to pay me to put their logos on my dirt bike. And that's when I was like, man, why am I not promoting my own company? Like, why are people paying me essentially to make their brands cool? That's why you sponsor athletes. That's why you... Bottom line, why do you pay an athlete to wear your brand? Because you're making it cool for them. That's the fact. So I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I not promoting my own brands? And that's when I said, you know what? You know, and I'd met Larry and a few of the guys, and we, you know, the militia thing kicked off. And I was like, okay, I'm representing the militia, and this is, you know, we're the evil side, and we're all black and spikes, and Pastrana's the good guy, and he really was the goody two-shoe guy, you know? And so we did turn that whole image got turned up on ESPN, and I'm like, you know what? Here we go. We got the cameras. We got all the attention. We're going for it. Like, we're throwing this one all the way. And it blew up, and, you know, people got behind it, and we were the dudes we were representing all the people who got in trouble, all the rebels, and we represented that, and Travis was the good guy. And yeah, that brought us a lot of endorsement deals. I mean, dude, I had the biggest endorsement deals, and we were like the roughest dudes, which was pretty cool. And so I know Travis said, oh, that's a sellout, like he took his shot, but I'm like, yeah, I guess it's a way to say that we capitalized on who we were and our image for sure. And I think he did play the good guy, and he was the goody two shoe, like you know,
All-American
we started
boy.
All-American boy, to the point where we even started questioning him. We were like, you know, and at the time, before, you know, whatever, this was 20 years ago, we were like, he's so goody two shoe, and he's so this, that, and we were rebel dudes, like partying after the event and getting in fights and this, that. And I was like, does this dude, like, who is he? Like, what is he even like girls? Does he even like, is he even like, is he even party? Does he even like, you know, is he even a true, like, badass dirt biker, you know? And that's kind of like the way we saw it, you know? We're like, who is this dude? Like, he walked away from racing, you know, and at first I'm like, man, he just walked away from factory ride and all the things I wish I had when I was racing. And at first I had a lot of questions, dude. I'm like, is this dude even really, is he for real? Is Travis Pastrana, is he for real? That was like kind of my deal. And I was always kind of anti-Pastrana because he was a guy who took the gold medals, man. Like, you know, he was a dude taking food off our plate. So, yeah, we had it out for him for sure. And then at some point he just kept playing that goody two-shoe deal. And at some point I'm like, is that real? Is it a hype? Is it this, that? And it took me many years to go, you know what, dude? The dude was so gnarly. I watched him do so much gnarly stuff that I had to respect him. At some point I'm like, dude, he may act like a total dork, but I'm like, this dude does gnarly stuff. Like, I'm like, he does stuff that I don't want to do, and so I have to give him credit, man. And he earned my respect because I really did not like Travis Pastrana for a while there, yeah.
Well, it makes sense too, right? Like, there's a couple different levels. Like, this is the kind of stuff I just love about dirt bikes. I love these storylines and trying to get in the minds of like how this stuff played out, because he was like the antithesis of you as a racer, and like got the factory rides and like could never say a thing wrong, and no matter what he did, he was always like the golden boy. And then that was like the racer thing. And then you like, fuck race, and I'm going to freestyle where like this bullshit doesn't exist. And then you go to freestyle, and then that bullshit comes and starts taking all the medals. And like it just seemed like this, you know, I could see it would have felt like this kid was like following you around and just kind of crushing it. And to speak on that as well is like maybe the Mulisha didn't hit as good without the polarity of Travis Pastrana, without that goody two shoes and the bright white knight of Travis Pastrana. Maybe like the black, you know, the black Sabbath of the Metal Mulisha just doesn't hit.
Yeah, I like who would we hated like if he wasn't around? Who are we going against? You know, was all freestyle dark and evil? And no, Travis Pastrana helped build the Mulisha. Like he really did. Like at the end of the day, like he can say whatever he wants. He can hate the Metal Mulisha. He was a big part of building it, dude. Like, you know, like you don't have the guy in the white hat without the guy in the black hat. Like, you know, he did help us polarize, you know, the Mulisha. And at the end of the day, the funny thing is, I think we finally wore off on him later in life, and he became the party guy. I was like, he went from goody t-shirt guy to the party guy. Like, and he, you know, whatever. I get it. You got to kind of hide it at times to play the image, you know. But he definitely took the turn to be like what we were. He became, and so I think we rubbed off on him. I think the Metal Mulisha rubbed off on Travis Pastrana for sure.
Yeah, and it's so cool that you know, it never got dark with you guys. You know, like sometimes you can see rivalries and you're like, ooh, it's getting dark. But it's it never really seemed like it got dark. It was just the right amount of fuel for the fire, and like I said, there was that polarity, you know, like you guys were the counterculture and he was the culture that you were counter to.
Yeah, he was the factory rider, but you know what? He came over, and I think he respected the freestyle scene. He brought a lot of innovation over. I mean, he wasn't like really pulled up he didn't pull up in the Suzuki factory semi, right?
Yeah.
Like you know, like he came, he was the Red Bull deal, and he would create these dirt bikes that the bars would spin, or he had like these different secrets. Like he just was a big innovator for the sport, which I respected. And the one thing I thought, you know, he made a lot of bad decisions when he like left racing. He was a national champion. He could have been probably a 250 champion in Supercross. And, you know, he walked away from a factory ride to do freestyle motocross, to do action sports, race cars, do all fun things. And I'm like, dude, I can't. Like at first I thought he was really dumb for doing that. And then I look back at it, I'm like, man, he was the first one to break the chain. He was the first one to go, I am a multi-skilled athlete. I can ride dirt bikes. I can do freestyle. I can race cars. That opened my eyes to go, dude, I'm going to do the same thing. He's the one who paved the way to go, okay, once I got out of dirt bikes competitively, I got into off-road truck racing. I got into rallycross. I'm like, whoa, dude, he was the first multi-talent athlete to break the ice. And, you know, I followed suit. I jumped right into it. You know, I won truck championships. I won rallycross, X Games gold in rallycross. Like, and that was really from what I saw Travis do, you know? And so at the end of the day, dude, he threw up the big middle finger to the industry, and he capitalized times 10, right? He like did what most factory people are like, don't become him because this will happen to you. And you're like, what? Become a multi-time millionaire, and, you know, and create a whole movement in the sport, right? And so I don't know if that could ever happen again. Like, I don't know if like who's one of the up and coming guys, like not my kid, but like who's one of these up and coming kid. Jett Lawrence just gets his factory Honda ride, this, that, and he's like, you know what? I'm out. I'm gonna go create a new sport, and you're gonna follow me, and we're gonna blow it up. What kid is that even gonna happen? Could that even really happen again? You know, but
it's crazy. The same could be said for what you did, bro. There ain't gonna be no Metal Mulisha ever again. Like that was a time period, man. Like that you can't repeat, and you were the general.
Yeah, you think of that time of the 90s, and you look back at it, and there's the flat billed hat, right? The flat bill with the pulled up black socks, 909, long dickies, black t-shirt, like, yeah, that you may look at that now and go, yeah, well, that's a old trend or whatever. But dude, that was a trend, right? That was like in the 70s. You had bell-bottom jeans and tie-dye shirts. Cool. Yeah, it may not be that cool now. All trends come back, dude. They all come full circle. The mullet, it's back. Like that comes back, dude. Like the militia all black, it will come back, dude. Like that will, like, trends circulate. I'm just happy we created a movement. Like, we didn't create a small movement. We created in Tilly's, in Zoomies, in Macy's, in Dillard's. Like, we created a worldwide movement. And yeah, Travis was a good guy. That's cool. He had his own thing. We had the Metal Mulisha. It's Dogtown and Z-Boys. You know, it's a documentary that one day will be told. And it was such a gnarly lifestyle. And it was real, dude. Like, you know, yeah, we turned it up a little more on TV, but like the parties, the fights, the crazy thrashing, blowing stuff up, that stuff really happened. Going to Australia, doing tours, the riots happening, cop cars Australia, like cop cars getting lit on fire.
Western Australia.
Western Australia, Perth was like the gnarliest event to ever happen to this day. We went out and built some jumps, started doing freestyle motocross, Crusty Demons of Dirt for a show in Australia, and thousands of people show up to a field, like thousands of people, and we told them to riot. We're like, yeah, let's party, let's riot, and so they start tearing the place up. They light cop cars on fire, and they had to escort us out in these police cars, because the crowd was going so crazy. They just wanted to grab us, and like it was like rock star crazy stuff going down. But it got scary because we're like, dude, this is getting gnarly, and everything was getting lit on fire.
Did you know that it was like a lot of bikies?
Yeah, so that's one thing we didn't know till we got to Australia, and then we became pretty close with a lot of those dudes, which was cool. But they're gnarly dudes. Like it's not fake. Yeah, that's not fake. That's like coming to America and buddying up with like you just
with
like
the
in
Crips.
America you just or like, you know, you got you got the Mongrels, Hells Angels. You got like all those dudes that are you guys call them, you know, bikies over there. They're the bike gangs in America. Like they're gnarly. You don't mess with them. Like, and so in Australia, they're all over there. They're there. That's a big part of Australia. And those dudes became our buddy. Like we became buddies with the Coffin Cheaters, with like a couple of the dudes that were like really into dirt bikes. And so what did that do? Oh, whoa. All of a sudden we could really do whatever we wanted at that point, right? You're like, okay. And that's when things really got gnarly. Like, I don't know, like stuff you can't even really talk about. Like, but I know, that opened the door. Like that was like, okay, now we have the keys to anything we want to do. And so then Australia was such a old West vibe. Like Australia felt like America 100 years ago when we were over there. Like you could just practically do whatever you want, get away with anything. You're like, oh, let's blow this up, let's burn this, let's jump that, let's destroy this car, let's do that, and it was all okay. Like it was all right. And most of the cops were cool. They're fans. Like so, like when Crusty Demons came to town, man, like people loved it, dude. Like I remember going through the airport. In airport security even there. Like, you know, because we go through security and most stuff they wouldn't let you get through security. But they were like, cool. They were like, yeah, they didn't care because they were the Crusty Demons. Like, they were that pumped. Like, it was pretty sick, dude. Like, it was good times.
Yeah, I know a lot of the shit that you can't talk about. Like, I've heard a lot of the stories firsthand. And I know there's so much shit that can't be said. But, fuck, man, like, the time that you lived through for where crazy shit going down, bikie gangs in every town, like just the gnarliest of the gnarly dude. And like I remember being a kid, like I wouldn't know, maybe like 11, 12 years old, and like my dad's rode dirt bikes his whole life, like all my dad's friends. So my dad's like 29, 30, you know what I mean? Like pretty young dude. And then all my uncles are coming over. Dude, first day, Crusty won. I fucking remember it. And it was like VHS and all my dad and all his mates crowded around. And then we're putting it on. And it became like, dude, every year, Crusty 1, Crusty 2. It became like a thing. And And the thing that I think made it so big in Australia is that we didn't have anything else. Like there wasn't, you know, America's so spoiled for things. And if you know, you got Monster Jam, you got Supercross, you got all this stuff. Australia, nothing. All we had was these VHS tapes with a cardboard sleeve. And like, dude, it just inspired like the craziest movement over here. And then when you guys invested in coming to Australia to just fuck shit up, like, dude, Australia just went crazy for it.
Yeah. Do you remember at the end of each show, we would like destroy the bikes? Like we would ghost ride them, we'd blow them up, run them into the wall. Like we were destroying brand new Hondas. Like it was like, and then I just remember, dude, like we would say on the mic at the end of the night, all right, everyone, let's storm the ramps. Let's come down. Let's just cause a riot. And the whole place would go crazy. And finally the promoter's like, dude, you cannot do that anymore. You cannot stop doing that. You're destroying the whole facility. And like, that's what would happen most of the shows, dude. And you don't see that. Like Nitro Circus isn't saying storm the arena. Let's destroy this place. Like, I don't think that's happening nowadays. No, not at all.
Nah, dude, definitely not. But man, I remember, and like, yeah, it's that the Perth thing still comes up a bunch. Like I always hear people talk that were there, and like they were just like, holy fuck, bro. It was like legit. It was like,
it was on the front
Max.
page of the news. Yeah. It was on the front page of every newspaper the next day. Like cop cars on fire. Like, and we would just sit there laughing, dude. Like we were like Australia, that Western Australia, that first show. Like that was like I couldn't say. I guess you could compare to Woodstock. Like it was an event that will never be like forgotten. It was so crazy.
It must be so gnarly to be in the position where you fly in and you've got like the coffin cheaters or the commentators or whatever, and they're like, boys, no one can touch you. Do, say, be, whatever. The cops can't touch you. No one else can get you. Whatever you want to do. Like, there's not many people in life that could say they've been given a free pass to just be anarchist for a week.
No, and that's real, right? That'd probably be like living back in the old West days. And you were like, say, you were a rebel Wild West dude, like Jesse James or some dude that literally went town to town and you just pillaged and destroyed stuff, and people just like saw you coming and just like kept like got out of the way, and that like pretty much what happened. Like, dude, I remember so many crazy things. Like we would going down the road and like anyone that messed with us, like we were like cutting people off, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and like dudes would like be starting stuff, and like those dudes would roll up, and like people would literally turn like white, like they were so scared, you know, like it'd be like it was such an abuse of power, dude. But yeah, it was like that was one of those things. I guess if we didn't, you go back home and you're just like, man, did that really all just happen? You know, it was like,
was it weird to go back to being a normal person?
Yeah. Oh, dude, for sure. We come back, fly back I remember we fly back on those long flights, and you get back home, you're like, okay, now we're back to reality. Like we have to like act civilized back home. We can't get away with this stuff. So yeah, it was a big culture shock for sure.
Dude, that's so good. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So that 1 hour podcast with Trav that you did, so that was like the longest you'd sat down and actually spoke to him ever.
Yeah, that was the longest, and I'm glad we did that because we actually formed, I think, more of a respectful bond, you know, because I always respected him out of his riding skill once I got past the anger part of him winning every event no matter what. Even if he crashed, he still would win, you know? Like the night I did the 360 before him at LA Coliseum, I did the 360, one of the gnarliest tricks ever in freestyle motocross for the first time at the LA Coliseum, same place I won the Supercross. And did it before him in his run, and he goes out and does it in his run because he had to kind of once, because I already kind of laid down that level, and he went out and did it and crashes trying it, and then he's like, time out, and I'm like, man, that's bullshit. And anyway, they give him a timeout and let him do it again, and he lands it the next time, which of course, you know, And I'm like, I was so mad. But then again, I'm like, you know what? It's not about the gold medal, dude, that night. It was just about me doing this trick and doing it before he did finally. I finally, like, one-upped him out of our whole career of him always one-upping me. And I was like, I finally got him that night. So that he knows. He knows.
Dude, that 360 that you did first was so clean, dude. So clean.
Yeah, and, like, going to that event, I didn't plan on doing it. I knew I had it if I did it in my foam pit before I came to X Games. I didn't ever land it on dirt, but I knew I kind of had that if I had to try something. But, you know, and I was there. I'm like, dude, the dirt's there's hard packed dirt. I was like, man, this is going to hurt. But, you know, you have medics, you have the cameras there. It's in the energy of the crowd. That night there was like 50,000 people. It's probably the most packed freestyle event ever. And I just remember coming around to the end of my run. I'm like, dude, I'm going for it. I don't even care. Like, I just wanted to be the guy that bad. I was like, I want to be the top of the level of freestyle motocross right now. And I went and I remember carving that ramp, and I was in the air, and I'm like, this is so gnarly. I was like so flat in the air, and I was coming around, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to miss the landing. And next thing you know, I 50-50 the landing off the edge. And because I did that, because I did under-rotate it, and if I would have landed on the top, I would have done what Travis did, basically under-rotated and flew off the back. And luckily, I 50-50'd the landing, and it was real soft, and I was able to slide down the landing and kind of this 50-50 and saved it. And it was just like an iconic moment. Of the top 3 moments in my life, or in my career, that was definitely one of the top 3 moments in my career for sure.
Yeah, man, I still remember that, like watching that as a kid on ESPN. I think we had to go to our friend's house who had ESPN, you know, to watch it. And I remember that just being so heavy. And then, you know, but you don't know, like when you're watching it, and I was pretty young at the time, you don't realize how heavy that is. Like what the era of freestyle, and I think that's why it so big when you guys were doing it, is because like it was so heavy. Like talk about the Wild Wild West, like freestyle was the Wild Wild West in your era. Like people were getting really hurt, and there wasn't the safety, there wasn't the technology, and it was just straight nuts. And like wanting to make a better life for yourself, you know? Like people do crazy shit to have a better life for themselves.
Yeah, for sure. And we didn't really have foam pits back then. You know, Travis was the first one to kind of get a foam pit going. So we were learning, like I learned to backflip on dirt. I didn't have a foam pit. I just broke a lot of bones learning how to backflip a dirt bike. I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it to keep on going in the sport. You know, like you think of Tommy Clowers, Clifford Adamte, the list goes on of guys who didn't do it. They didn't flip, so they were done. Their freestyle career was done. I didn't want to be done. I was ready to take those chances. The cool thing about freestyle when we were doing it, the tricks happened that night. You didn't have them mastered before you came. You just thought, okay, I want to do this trick. I'm going to try it for the first time in front of this crowd because the cameras, the hype, the energy, and the ambulances are here. So that's why you would try it. And that's why you'd see so much that excitement. Like the excitement when you see like, say Shimoda or Jett Lawrence, their true emotion after a race that is so it's so engaging that you're just like, you want to be a part of that. And that's the energy we had when we did freestyle, because we truly had that true emotion of like, man, I'm not hurt. Like I didn't break my bones. I landed it. Like that was how much energy there was. And I think that's why it was so cool.
Yeah, that does make so much sense. Like you're so in the moment, like the thing is happening. We're watching you experience it for the first time. Yeah,
for sure. And those moments are rare to catch an athlete. That's why I always watch the championship ceremonies. Like I'm not a big football guy. I like things with motors. But like when the Super Bowl happens and the championship celebration after, I always have my kids watch it, and I like to watch it because you like to see that emotion of people that put in a lot of work, and they're getting recognized for their work, and you see raw emotion, and you don't get to see that all the time, like true raw emotion, and that's very I don't know. It's just so I don't know. It's so attractive, you know. Like you want to be a part of that, and that's what I see in sport at time, and that's what draws people to sport. You know, it just does. Like UFC, man. There's so much emotion there when people win. Like I just, that's why I love certain sports, you know?
Nah, yeah, dude, 100%, man. Like, that, I mean, me and my brother say, like, we joke all the time, like, how good sport. Like, we'll just be watching, like, we might be watching some completely different stuff, but we'll text each other, like, get around, how good sport. And it's just so, like, that human emotion that you're seeing, like, in the moment, it's just so insanely real. And, you know, a lot of life is kind of watered down at this point, you know, you're like kind of in a groove, in a routine, very structured, very living within a box. And then, you know, to actually visibly see that shit is, I think that's why it's so captivating.
Yeah, it is. And that's, you know, nowadays I think freestyle motocross, like the tricks have gotten so gnarly, but they've gotten so routine that that's, I don't think the sport has kind of hit its peak, you know, years ago. And I don't know, I feel like that's something. Then now with social media, you have every day, you're like, well, what's going to get the views today? Like, you know, we've been already seeing it. What's left, man? Like, what is left? Literally, like, what? I mean, you've seen everything now. It's like everything. What actually makes you stop and look nowadays? You know, I don't know. The the bar's set so high. It's hard.
Yeah. When you said before that you have always loved to learn stuff, and you enjoy having something to learn. I resonate with that so much. Like, I'm obsessed with getting better at shit. Not because, like, I mean, my example is jiu-jitsu. Like, I put so much effort into jiu-jitsu. I'm never going to be a world champion at jiu-jitsu. I'm never going to make a career, you know what I mean? But like the act of, and like, I want to double down even more because I know the effects that it has on my life. Like, there's all these fringe benefits that come with, like, okay, if I just really focus and really concentrate and train really hard, put in this effort, I'm going to have this skill by the end of it. That skill arguably is like meaningless. I mean, if someone tries to jack me in a car park, like, I'm probably going to be able to handle them. Like, but I'd hope to never use this great skill that I have, essentially, is, you know, what I'm saying. But it's like, there's a long tail. There's a really long tail of like investing in this skill where like my nutrition's better, my sleep is better, I learn how to study, I learn how to concentrate, I show up when I don't want to, I see the benefits of hard work. Like, I could list just like so much shit of why my life is better because of jiu-jitsu, and it's the exact same with motocross. You know, like, I'm forced to clean my bike properly and do my maintenance. And, you know, like, there's just these lessons that you get taught when you're a student of the game, no matter what game that is. So, like, in your perspective, or what's been the draw for a life of learning in your own life?
Yeah, I think there's always, as a man, you're always trying to accomplish something. I think a man's purpose is in his work. You know, a man's purpose is always in his work, and you always feel good when you accomplish some work or accomplish something, and you like to get recognized for that. That's human nature, you know. And I think like jiu-jitsu is, I've been doing jiu-jitsu since probably 99. Like, we used to have a fight.
Oh, dude, I didn't know
gym.
that.
Yeah. We had a real fight gym in our garage, and ESPN even came and did a thing on backyard fights. Yeah, and we had like bare knuckle backyard fights. We did that for a long time before UFC became UFC. Like, we were having dudes fight in our garage. Yeah, at where it's in Temecula. Nate Adams eventually bought my house. In this old barn house. It was my first house in Temecula. So anyway, we used to have fights in that garage. That's when I started doing jiu-jitsu. And it's the one thing I wish, it's probably a few things, but the one thing I really wish I could focus more on, because I go to class and I go to the Gracie, Carlson Gracie here in Temecula.
Next to Charles?
Next to Charles, yeah. So I've been in there.
I've done one class there.
Okay, so I've been in there many years, and I come in there, and I usually go in 2-week spurts, and then I get busy, and I'm gone. And the problem is, I go in there, and I'm a blue belt, and so I go in there, and I get my ass kicked, right, by like, because I haven't been in there in months, and then it's so discouraging. I hate it. Like, I hate getting choked out by white belts or even blue belts. and because I'm like, dude, I know I'm better than this, but I can't commit the time. And so I get it. Jiu-jitsu is one of those things you just have to have mat time. And you can see the nerdiest dude, and he could be a brown belt or purple, whatever, and he'll work you, dude. And I don't care how tough you think you are. Like, you go into a jiu-jitsu gym, and you're going to get your ass kicked, dude. Like, I don't care. And I go in there, sometimes I'm in a bad mood or, something's bugging me, and it sets me straight, dude. Like, you can't go in there with a chip on your shoulder. You just can't, because you're going to leave there humbled. And that is an awesome sport for that. And dirt bikes are relatively somewhat the same. You got to respect the sport. You can't just go out and think you're the man and go hit the triple or go this, that, because you're going to get broke off. And so, yeah, you got to respect these certain sports. But, yeah, I wish I could spend more mat time at jiu-jitsu. I love it.
Dude, I actually had no idea. Funny story, man. I did my first, it was like 7 years ago, I reckon it would have been, because I'm real good friends with Charles. And I did one jiu-jitsu class there, and it was like middle of summer. It was like a no-gi class, and I was like sitting back with like my hands back, like resting after the last roll. Some big dude, he would have been like 310 pounds. He got up, slipped in a puddle of his own sweat, and fell on my wrist and broke my wrist. And I didn't go back until like 3 years ago, because I was like, I'm in America, jacked my wrist for months, so I couldn't film it. So anyway, it didn't end up happening, but that was the first place I ever did jiu-jitsu. But yeah, I had no idea that you trained.
Yeah, what are the odds of that? Some dude falls on your arm and breaks it.
Dude, right? And I would have been a fucking black belt by now if I kept going. But no, I mean, I just love the process, like obviously the shit you get out of it's really good. Like, I'm in really good shape, and I definitely have I'm not scared of pretty much anybody. Based on, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like I train enough to know that I know what to do. But
you can size,
it's all the other benefits
up,
in my life.
Yeah.
And you know if somebody can fight.
Yeah, you can just tell, right? And that's I used to think I was pretty tough, right? Because I was down to fight, I was down to scrap, I didn't care, like, and back in the day, and then I got in jiu-jitsu and this, I'm like, dude, I'm way off on like any real technique, but I think once you're blue belt, purple is that you can handle any novice on the street, and I'm smaller, dude, right? I'm 150, 155, and 5'9", like, I'm not a big dude. Like, there was a point in my life where I got crazy, started lifting, juicing, getting gnarly, like, and I was 185, and that's when I was aggro, guys, like, just, attacking everything. But anyway, so now, I look at guys, there's a black belt in class, there's probably 150, 155, and that dude could literally kick anyone's ass. And I'm like, dude, It's gnarly to think, he's a small guy. It don't matter, dude. A 250-pound guy could come in there juiced out, and that dude's gonna submit him. He's gonna choke him out. He's gonna make him look stupid. That's how gnarly that sport is, dude. It really is. It's not fake. Dude. That's like real deal, dude. So.
And the thing is, man, is like the funniest part too is like the better I've gotten at jiu-jitsu, I'm like, and I compete, like I do all the national championship, like I know that if given a situation where like I get put in with someone that I don't know, it's not in my gym, we're not like I know what I can do in that situation. But like the better that you get, like I hope I never use jiu-jitsu ever, like it's there.
I think the better you get at any martial art, the more mellow you are. I think the more you respect people, the more you don't want to get into altercation. Like the more you get better, the better you get at martial arts, the less you want to fight. It's weird.
Yeah, no, it is bizarre. But so with the sick segue, by the way. Stoked you're into jiu-jitsu. But like when did that whole like just learning, like to there's so much value in learning and just like constantly learning, like not getting to a point in your life, like I read a lot of books, I read every single day, like a priority of my life is learning new shit, even if it's shit that might be like quote unquote pointless, because there's something in just the process of learning that I think is so helpful to a good life.
Yeah, I think it's your purpose, man. I think it's your purpose never to stop learning. I think it's there's people that are meant, I guess there's people that just go to 9 to 5 every day, live the same life, wake up, eat the same thing, go to work, do the same thing, come home, and they're probably relatively depressed, and they're just getting through life, man. That's not me. Like I want to learn more. Like I love traveling the world because of dirt bikes. Like that is something that excites me for my kids. I hopefully they get to travel the world because of dirt bikes. And, I feel like there's so much out there. I think people are so stuck in this town, this state, this country. Get out of this country, man. Go see what's really going on. Go see how other people live. Go see how it's third worlds, are struggling just to survive. And you think you have it tough here, man? Like there's so much more out there to learn. Like I've traveled, I've gone to some of the gnarliest countries that are scary just to walk down the street. You don't go out at night. I've been to these places, man, and seen the weirdest stuff. And it's made me come back and really respect America, respect the opportunities we have here. And the only way you can't become successful in America if you don't want to. That's it. The bottom line. It just is. Like you can say whatever you want. Now with the information, you can learn so much. Like on the internet, any subject you want to get better at, it's there. Like I want to get better at marketing. I want to get better at communicating. I want to get better at running companies. I want to become a better leader. I'm not a good leader. You may look at me and go, yeah, this dude's a good leader, because his kids or this, that. Like I still think that's one of the places I really struggle. I struggle with being a leader and communicating. I'm really bad at giving people comments. I don't know why. I'm horrible at it. I can't say, hey man, good job. That looks great. Like it's really tough for me to do that, dude. Like I grew up with my dad, and my dad always said, oh, good job. Like, but it was always just a word. And I always felt like it was just a word, like, hey, that's great. Good job. I'm like, you're just whatever. You're just saying that. But, and my dad, like I grew up, my mom and dad divorced when I was about 12. Mom took off, didn't see her again. And my dad raised me, and he was really business guy. He was really business, never said I love you, just like non-emotional. And so anyway, that made it very hard. I guess it just didn't get instilled in me. So I'm good at calling shots, good at saying, hey, this is our goal. We're headed this direction. But I'm pretty not good at saying, hey man, that looks good. You did that you created that is really cool. Like it's very tough for me to do that. So anyway, that's why I listen to podcasts on leadership and trying to get better at it, man. I always feel like I can be better. You never can be a good enough leader. Like that's something in life. You never can be good enough at sales. You never can be good enough at, at business, like all that stuff. I love learning about it. I love getting better at it. I still feel like I have a long way to go. And think about money now, man. Money makes this world turn. And dude, now there's Bitcoin. Now there's electronic money. Now his Coinbase. Dude, what do you know about that? We better know something because it's coming, dude. Like you better, that paper money that's in your hand, you better start realizing that shit's gonna be gone pretty soon, and open your eyes, dude. So anyway, I'm just saying there's so much to learn about it, man. And anyway, that's why I listen to all these podcasts nonstop. I never work in my garage and just like. Like I'm doing nothing. I'm just working on a bike. Like, maybe if I'm angry, I just need to like cool or like have my moment of silence. But other than that, I'm just like, dude, I'm wasting minutes of my life right now. I gotta learn something. I have to like listen to someone telling me how to get better at something. And I just think that to me is really like a hunger I have. And I think most guys do. I think most people do.
Yeah, no, man, I think that's like for a guy to have done what you've done and, like financially done what you've done and set your kids up the way that you've done to, like, I love hearing people like you that from the outside, you're like, this motherfucker's got it dialed. And then you're like, man, I suck at this. I want to get better. Like, that's a beautiful attitude to take through life no matter where you're at.
Yeah, and then you get married, you really realize how bad you suck at everything. Your wife always mind your ass, man. My wife always tells me, she's like, you have the worst personality, man. Like, people come over and you like just like go out in the garage and work on your dirt bike. I'm like, dude, I get anxiety. Like, I don't feel comfortable around all the people all the time, right? I'm comfortable when I'm at an event. And when people are like, oh, yeah, Brian Deegan, high five. Like, yeah, cool. Like, I'm comfortable with that. But like when I'm in a social atmosphere.
There, right?
Yeah, right? You're a certain person for that, right? You just keep
you're just like, oh, I'm Brian Deegan.
Yeah, and you don't have to get in-depth conversation, right? You don't have to get into any crazy, like, awkward talks. And so I feel like, family get-togethers or social environments for me, like, honestly, are not the most, like, they're not the most calming. They're awkward for me sometimes. So, yeah, I have my moments, where I need to work on certain things for sure. My personality, and social gatherings isn't always the best. I'm more like, I get like to be the quiet guy sometimes. Like, so just don't feel like talking, dude. It's weird.
So what, the leadership thing's interesting, because I think that a hallmark of any great leader is a leader that would admit that they're probably not that good at being a leader.
Yeah. People, I guess there's a place to be cocky. There's a place to have confidence, in life. There is that place. I think in sport, to be a champion at times, you have to be like, you have to know you're a badass, dude.
100,
right? That's what I know. That's the path I know. So that I feel is good. So that works. But you also have to have the other side. So I don't know. That's a tough one. I feel like I don't know. It's always just awkward for me. I have my good days. I have my bad days. I have my awkward moments. I'm just a human, dude. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah. What have you learned about leadership? Like, so let's say 3 years ago, you were even shitter a leader. 3 years comes, you've made some progress. In what areas would you say you've tried to make progress to being a leader? Because I think it's really important as a man to think of yourself as a leader. It's something I've been thinking about it more in the last couple of years, to be honest, myself.
Yeah, well, you have a following, right? Even if it's 1,000 people. I feel like we have this network where I have there's a ton of kids who watch our YouTube, watch my social or our family social. I get that. But there's also a lot of middle-aged men that watch our stuff too. Not always but that they want to, just their kids are watching it, right? They're just a product of the environment. And so I realize there's a lot of men out there that I probably influence, that's why I always say, hey man, get up, let's go work out or go, quit making excuses. So I think that, one part I've really been trying to work on of my leadership is really just being able to say sorry more, like when I'm wrong, because I'm very bad at that. I like to be right. And like when I am wrong, I struggle. I struggle with like, hey, dude, sorry. Like I fucked up or that was wrong. My outlook on that was wrong. Like if I struggle with that, man, like, so anyway, and I think if any good relationship, it's okay to have counseling. We think counseling is a bad thing, right? We always think, oh, he has a counselor. He has a mental issue. No, counseling's good. Wise counsel. It says in the Bible, seek wise counsel. So, and I think that is smart because, like me and my wife, we have counselors. We meet with people that talk into our lives. Like it helps. Like at the end of the day, I'm just a human. She's, just a woman. I'm just a man. I can't think for a woman. I don't know how she's thinking. Most of the time I think it's wrong. I think it's okay, this is right. And she's like, it's not right. That's not what I'm thinking. So it helps to have that. And so I know we're getting way off the subject on that, but to be a good leader, I seek wise counsel, I try to have people in my life that can speak truth into me. Because it's okay. We all love our hype men, right? We all love the people we hang out with that no matter what you say, yeah, that's great. I try to eliminate those people over the last 10, 15 years of my life. I've tried to eliminate more of those people and put more people in my life that are like, hey man, like that's not right. That's not cool. Like, I don't know. I don't think that's a good decision. Those are the people that I think are that care and that truly like you should have around that have your best interest. And so usually that's family. Usually the only people that are going to tell you the truth are usually your family. So anyway, I have struggled with that. I've struggled with accepting I'm wrong or accepting the truth. And so anyway, that's one of the things I've tried to work on more is like saying I'm sorry or like, hey man, that was a good job, or I appreciate that. Like just little acts of kindness. Like they say, like just acts of kindness or a comment, like you're like, I could go miles on a comment, like that to me, that's a big deal to like, that's something I've learned. Like people can go like for a long time on just small comments, or small, like, I guess, motivating, I don't know, comments to people.
Yeah, you're right. And there is a culture around like not kind of pumping people up too much. There's like, and that comes from a little bit of like a scarcity mindset to where you're like, okay, I don't want to. I mean, even in like an employee sense, you got guys working for you. It's like, okay, I need this dude to work for me. So like, I can't make him think that he's too important or he's too good, and because then you're gonna like lose. So like, that's like a real balance that you've got to have, But then I think personally, like my mindset is just fuck, man. Like I just want to build up people as much as I can, and hopefully that like by being really good to people, those people aren't going to turn around and like jack you on on something, and you're like, I've done all this good stuff. But I mean, let's say worst case scenario, like you build this person up and then they do jack you. It's like, at least you can go to sleep at night knowing like you were the good person in the situation. You did the right thing. Like that's got to be worth some salt just in that,
Yeah, it's tough, like, because I've employed a lot of people, and everyone has a little different personality, man. It's like you gotta kind of deal with everyone a little bit differently. And I'm bad. I'm a mood swinger, man. Like I have so many different moods. Like I usually wake up, I'm motivated, like I'm ready to go. Like by the end of the day, dude, I'm like in a bad mood. I'm like tired and I don't really want to deal with much. And so anyway, I've kind of learned my moods, and people around me have learned them. That like my wife, like later in the day, she really doesn't talk business with me or doesn't really like get too in depth of important conversations, because I'm not like, I don't know, it's just like not in the mood. That's to talk about it, like whatever. I just have my moods for sure, like most people do,
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, like for what it's worth, like for what I see of you guys and for what I see of the way that you put yourself out there, the consistency of it, there's never any like fucking big dips, and I'm like, oh, what Deegan are we gonna get today? You know what I mean? It's like nah, Brian Deegan's there. He's showing up for his kids. He's showing up for the people that he's got around him, and to me, that's a great leader. So obviously, you still want to work at it, and there's something to that as well. But yeah, from the outside, for what it's worth, man, I feel like you're doing a pretty good job. So.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I like I said, we don't put all our bad stuff. I say that I go live a lot on our YouTube, because they shut our comments off, which sucks. It's been like that for like a year. So, and we're friends.
Oh, yeah. What's up with that?
I know. I'm like, dude, I hit up our contact at YouTube all the time. I'm like, can you turn our comments on? And they're like, well, you have underage kids in your videos. And yeah, they're like, so, there's a lot. They're like, we've been on your comments, and they say and I say, well, it's not fair if you guys do it to us and not the other kid, because there's other underage kids who have their comments on. And they're like, well, we don't want any bullying or anything on the I'm like, dude, was there something on our comments that was bad? Because you're not telling me. Like, I'm not understanding. So till to this day, I fight that fight. I'm like, God, why don't they turn our comments on? And a lot of people are like, why do you have your comments off? Do you guys not want the drama? I'm like, no, dude, I want our comments on. We need them on. And somehow we've still grown to 1 million without a comments on. So I'm like, I'm like, but that's why I go live a lot. So I go live on YouTube a lot to talk to people and interact, and so I can answer their questions and comments live, because they haven't blocked that yet. So anyway, so that's why our comments are off. So I go live a lot to talk to people and just shoot the crap, man. Just talk shop, So, and I think people dig that. I think it's something that you don't get to do. Like if I got to listen, I would listen to James Stewart if he got on and just want to talk. Like, hey, shoot the crap with
100%.
him. Like, yeah, I think that would be sick, right? But people have talked. We're so keyboard warrior with that guy. He gave everyone the big middle finger and said, "Check it out, dude. Now you get nothing." And now what are you going to say, right? Like, that sucks. It sucks. I wish that didn't happen because the sport needs them, dude.
Yeah, dude. No, I mean, I'm the biggest James Stewart fan going. I can't agree more with you on that one. Yeah. But I actually wondered. I forgot to ask when we were talking about the YouTube thing, but I wondered if I thought that might have been a decision from you to like shelter Haiden from the comments. You know, like because I remember thinking at one point, like just analyzing in my head the YouTube channel and thinking like, dude, it would not be good for a 14-year-old kid to be laying in bed at 1 o'clock reading through his YouTube comments on a video that's got like hundreds of thousands of views. Like that's not like, I know for myself that's not a good place to be. I'm lucky. Like we have pretty solid comments. Like I'd say 95% is like really good. But I mean, yeah, there's some ones that slip through that are pretty shitty.
Yeah, and kids get to that age, like the age of being teenagers, and kids get pretty ruthless, you know. They start like they're searching for who they are, and they're getting their clicks going, and they don't, Haiden gets obviously a lot of attention, but I put him in that spot, dude. Like I shared my social with him. I shared my social with Haley. I shared it with Hudson. Like I put them in that spot. So, and they just flourished in it. So I have to take some responsibility of that too, like Haiden didn't like say, I'm going to be Haiden Deegan. I'm going to be famous on Instagram. Like I'm going to be famous on YouTube. I created those, I shared my network with my kids, right? I shared it to help build their network so they would have a value within their sport and it would help them with sponsors and all the other stuff. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword there for sure, dude. And people, it has caused issues where kids are, people get jealous or they're haters and they want to be negative. But I try to explain to my kids, I'm like, dude, you're going to deal with that all the way through life. And I'm like, you don't understand who could be this on the other end either, right? It could be some dude in his basement, like just some, who knows what his mental status is. And he has something to say. I'm like, are you really going to take that in serious? Are you really going to think that matters and change how you feel because of that? And so we've had a lot of those talks. I mean, because at some point, yeah, people can say stuff that hurts, online, but you have to see where is it coming from. Like, okay, if I go on there and someone like James Stewart gets on there and says, Haiden, you suck, and you're too cocky in your attitude. It's like, okay, I'm listening. Okay, I'm listening to that. Okay, but most of the time it's like, like a James Stewart fan club or whatever. Yeah, we're not listening. Okay, like whatever. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things you're gonna take serious and certain things you're not.
Yeah, and it's a good point to bring up because it's like, it's funny. I mean, I probably like cuss too much. It is what it is. It's where I come from.
I got the worst mouth, dude. Yeah, I got the worst mouth, and so does my wife and our kids. Like once in a while, I hear them slip and cuss, and I'm like, "What? What'd you say? You're in trouble and you're grounded and da da da." And I'm like, dude, we say the F word all the time. Like I'm super bad at that. My dad says it a lot. Like my dad's old school. He's like old Nebraska guy. He says a lot of stuff that I'm like, dude. And he had some health issues and he had a stroke, and so it took away that strokes when you have them on, like, I think it's the left side of your brain. It takes away your ability to censor your words. And so he like says things that I'm like, oh man. And so anyway, he'll say like some gnarly stuff that I'm just like so bad. But like I grew up around cuss words, and so it's very hard for me to stop. Like, and I'm Christian and go to church, and one of the things I struggle with is cussing, and I still to this day cuss because I don't know, it just comes out, man. It's definitely I always tell people, I ain't perfect. I am a sinner. I say every day I do bad things. I do not model your sense of perfection off me, dude. Like, do not. Like, but am I a guy that's trying to get better and raise kids as best I can? Yes. Like, right? That's the best I can do. So don't judge me too much.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like my caveat with all of this is like, it's free, and like you don't have to watch me ever if you don't like me, and that's totally fine as well. But I mean, in my head I'm like, maybe I should try and dial back the cuss word. I'm like, man, if I'm gonna do this is my job. Like, I gotta come in here every single day. I just need to be myself. Like, and then that's gonna put a little bit more weight on the things that I actually do say, because it's like, this dude's just him. And it's like, especially on the kids thing, if you're like, I can't listen to this with my kids in the car. It's like, okay, well, like, fair enough if that's where you're at with it, but it's like, your kid at some point is gonna not be a kid. So you're probably better off saying, like, hey, we can listen to this Gypsy Tales dude. He does cuss a lot. This is why, like, cussing is probably not the move. Like, he does it. You can hear when he does it. Like, notice if it's too much. Like, what do you think? You know, like, give your kid, like, a choice and an education. But if you... I'm of the opinion that, you know, once, especially kids in school, once your kid goes to school, you got no fucking control over what that kid hears, says, you know. So if you're like, you're closing off this thing, this is taboo, you can't do that. What are you doing, man? You're creating, like, you're putting this thing on a pedestal. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, like, to your point with the comments, you know, it's like, you can shelter your kids from these comments, and it's going to do them a service. Like, it's probably going to save them a little bit of mental stress and maybe some sleepless nights. But, like, at some point, the real world is going to comment on your shit, whether it's on a YouTube video or if it's face to face, or if it's, you know, Haley at a NASCAR and she cuts a dude off and a driver gets in her face. Like, at some point, you're going to hear some cussing. You're going to hear some shit you don't want to hear. You're going to see some bad things said about, like, and if you don't have the tools to deal with that, if you haven't been taught how to deal with that, I mean, that might really cause some problems.
Yeah, you're just sheltering them from the real world, you know? And then that's what happens. And then people get to the real world and they go nuts, you know? Yeah, you know, I don't know. You got to find a balance there. I don't know. It's so weird to me, like, when my kids are on, like, I don't just give them, like, free access to social media, so you know. Like, my kids there are certain times they get to look at it, and it's usually supervised. And I don't
really?
care.
That's cool.
My kids will say, "Oh, well, all my friends." I don't care what all your friends are doing, dude. Like, I care what you're doing. Okay, you're my kids. You're my responsibility. You know, when you go on social, I'm gonna be with you, and most of the time they'll turn on social, and there'll be someone will come on and be F this, F that, you know, motherfucker, you know, like, it just, I'm like, whoa, shut that off, you know. I'm like, so that's my natural dad reaction, you know. And then I'm like, dude, that's like so numbing to kids now. Like, they're so numb to it. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, times are changing so fast, dude. Anyway, like I said, you gotta, you can't shelter them too much. I agree.
So with Danger Boy, the man, the myth, the boy, the myth, the legend. I think it's so rad the way, like, all I need to say is you've got him riding a Supercross track on a 125. That should say all that we need to know about your headspace around developing a really great rider. And I think it's super cool. Like, and yeah, like you said, I hadn't really thought about it, you know, like, at some point we will be watching Haiden line up at, whether it's A1 or whatever, you know, wherever it ends up landing. But yeah, you've really put in and made some smart moves to try and create a really great rider that has all of the skills, all the, you know, the tools necessary. And it really seems like he does have a great mindset.
No, I agree. Hey, before I get in the subject, I'm going to take a piss real quick.
Yeah, definitely.
Give me 1 second. All right.
Yeah, you're good. How long we been going for, Rhodes?
250.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you know how long Haiden was on for? Like,
Hayden and Daxton were on for 30 minutes.
okay, so in like a half. Just give me like a thumbs up when it's been 3 hours with Brian. So like, yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, this whole time, like, fuck, how long have we been gone? He's such a good dude, eh? Such a legend. Yeah, he really is, like, just a nice person. Yeah. Probably no YouTube segments, so out of this one, I don't think we've got much.
Is that
Literally everything.
okay?
I'll pop the AC on.
Good.
Yeah, if you can get through one of these without a piss, you're doing pretty good.
No, as I got older, dude, like I can't hold my pee as long. I used to
You've been
sleep
on the
through the
beers
night,
a lot
man.
on the track or what?
No. Well, I used to sleep through the night fine. Now I have to get up every night, go pee. Yeah, it's part of. I probably just
Getting
getting
old.
old or something. Yeah, I've lost
Man,
a few
you keep
organs,
your-
so
You keep yourself in
Sure.
such good shape, though, dude.
you know, and I don't know. I always wondered what I was gonna look like when I was like 50. You know, I was always when I was younger. I'm like, what am I gonna look like, man, when I'm older? I was always tripped on that when I was young for some reason. I always looked at my dad and looked at old people, and I was like, frick, man, when do you hit that? When do you hit that? When do you hit that fucked up looking old look? You know, I'm like, and I'm like, I don't want to look like that, man. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just keep doing what I did when I was young, and that's I go to the track, I ride dirt bikes, I go to the gym. Even though I don't probably really feel like going to the gym a lot, you know, I have a gym at my house. I think the reason I don't go to the gym a lot is because I'm socially awkward around people that I don't go to meet for a reason. And I feel like weird going to a gym. I like going to Charles at Icon because I like going when no one's there. And I like that. But now he's gotten pretty busy, so that's very hard to find that time. But anyway, so I feel like I want to be in shape because I want to see how, I don't know, I just want to, like, I don't want to look like that old dude, you know? And
Yeah.
and so I feel like I've done a pretty good job of still staying in shape, staying young. And like my wife's like, man, you've gotten so skinny. And I'm like, yeah, because at one point I lifted weights to be big. Like I at one point was 185, and that, like, I graduated high school when I raced pro at 135, dude. And
Wow.
and so now so now I've settled at 150, and I feel like as long as I can stay ripped, I'm good. Like I think the new healthy looking dude is the guy who's ripped and in shape. I think it's not the bulky juice head. It's not the muscle guy. Like now you see like the etiquette of a good looking guy who's in good shape. I feel is a dude who's like is fit, like not the yoga guy, but kind of the yoga guy, like the guy who's like, you know, like you can see that he's got some definition and he looks healthy. That is, I think, the new wave. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like, as long as you can stay like, hey, you know, you still look like you're fit and you eat right and you don't look like you're, I don't know. That's my opinion. That's why I've, as an older age, have tried to stay active and stay, you know, eating decent. And I think motocross just put that in me, dude. Like it just, it did. I mean, so it kind of blew my mind when I saw Ricky Carmichael go from this gnarly in shape guy to like totally out of shape, you know, because I knew it was hard for him. I knew what he did was hard for him. He was everything you're not supposed to be a champion body style. And he did it, you know, he changed the game. So anyway, guys like that are super motivating, man. And he's back in shape now. He looks good. Like, you know, so I always just felt like, I don't know, like I always had that motivation to stay healthy and stay in shape because I want to still ride and I still want to enjoy it. And I just want to enjoy it with my kids. And so I don't know, that's my motivation, you know, to stay in shape. You know, sometimes I feel like, man, I want to lift weights and get big again. And, you know, because in my head, I still feel like that's the sense of being a man and being strong. Like, but it's not, you know, I don't know. It's just some stupid 90s crap that's still in my head, you know. I don't know. I have those moments. And, you know, I come back in my head and I'm like, man, I just really miss that. Or like, I want to be like that. I have like these little midlife crisis like moments in my head, but you know, but I fight them off because it's just part of being a guy, you know, it just is. I don't know.
How do you feel though? Do you feel young still?
Yeah, I have certain days where I'm like, damn, dude, I feel good, and I'll just put on my running shoes. Like, as Haiden trips on me sometimes, like he'll be like, yeah, where are you going? I'll just put on my running shoes and go run, like pin it, and I'll just go running like in the hills. And if I feel good, I take advantage of it. And I don't miss those days that I feel good. Those are the days I'm like, okay, I'm going riding. But I have days where I feel like shit. I have days where I wake up and I'm like, dude, like my body hurts so bad right now. And I have those ones. Like I've had this like pinch in my neck for like 2 or 3 years that I'm like, dude, is that ever gonna go away? And it's so annoying. Like I had all the metal taken out of my body. I had plates in my hip, like screws in my ankles and wrists, and I had all that taken out in a surgery, and I feel so much better. But I still have a rod in my humerus that's so like stripped the bolts and everything in it, so that's not coming out, which sucks because metal's not meant to be in a human body, and I feel like my body fights that. But either way, I've learned a lot in health over the years. I've learned a lot about nutrition. I blew up my kidney and my spleen in a crash, almost died. That was my life-changing moment. But I still, to this day, have scar adhesions all over my intestines. So I have small bowel obstructions, which are freaking gnarly, like the worst pain ever. Your stomach locks up. Your food, when you eat it, comes back out of your mouth. It's like a garden hose that kinked. And of all injuries I wish I didn't have, that was the one I regret the most. I regret losing my kidney the most because still to this day, I have one kidney that doesn't always function totally correctly. And I haven't, scar adhesions. I don't know when that day comes. Like it hits like emergency. Like it'll just hit. Like I was at Bristol at my daughter's race one day and all of a sudden I got a small bowel obstruction. I had to go to the ER that night. I felt like I was dying. They put a tube down your throat. They put a angio tube, the one they shove down your nose and you have to swallow it, and it goes down to your stomach. Like when a dude ODs on drugs, they basically put the tube down your stomach and they pump your stomach. Well, that's what I have to do every time I have a bowel obstruction. So they put it down your stomach, by your nose, and you have to swallow it. Otherwise, a lot of times it'll pop out your mouth. And then you swallow it and it goes all the way down your stomach, and they start pumping. They pump all the stuff out of your stomach. And then you feel like the pressure goes off, but then you have to go into surgery and have that scar deal cut out. So I mean, dude, those are the things I've dealt with riding and injuries and freestyle and all the things. And people are like, "Oh, you got it so good, dude." Like, nah, dude. Like I paid the price, man. Like I paid the price for. Play. Yeah, pay to play, man, and good on you if you can figure a way to do it some other way. But that's the way I did it. And so anyway, still to this day, your question is that do I have good or bad? Like, yeah, I have bad days. I have days where I feel like crap. Going to a massage therapist has been a lifesaver for me, but I have to make time for it. I find myself always making time for my kids, and I don't make enough time for myself. If I could do a massage therapist every day, man, my life would be so much better. But I can't. Like, that's not my, and so I go once a week, and it is a game changer for me. For anyone that struggles with body pains and constant, soreness, is that like a massage therapist is so good. So anyway, I deal with that. I tried the CBD thing for a while. I think there was, I think it helped a little bit, like if I took a bunch at night. But anyway, the one thing I've found, like realistically, that helped me the most for my body aches and pains was just staying off of sugar, man. Like sugar is the one thing that I can tell if I eat a lot of sugar, which I'm so addicted to sugar. Like like everyone, bro. Like I love Mentos, I once in a while I just feel like I have to eat some candy, and I try to limit that though because it does freaking hurt my body. Yeah, that's the one thing. If I could cut out sugars, my life would probably be a lot better. But whatever, you live, and it is what it is,
Speaking of the massage stuff, do you do any like stretching or trigger point release stuff yourself, like when you're in the gym?
Yeah, the Theragun thing really helped me because, like I said, I have this pinched nerve in my neck, and I use that Theragun on it. It seems to help a lot. And I have a massage chair. But yeah, stretching, dude, totally helps. Like I do a lot of stretching in the morning when I feel sore, and it helps a ton. That is the key, like warming up, stretching, man, what a difference, man. If you can start your day with just a 20-minute cycling and on your little elliptical deal, man, what a different day you'll have. Like, it's crazy. As much as you don't want to do it, like, I'll just go in and I'll just force myself to do 15, 20 minutes, and then my day is completely different. It does, like, huge difference. Like, don't just wake up, I don't feel good, I'm gonna eat and go to work. Spend the 15, 20 minutes, do jumping jacks, do a jump rope, cycle, easiest thing to do. Get on a stationary bike ride for 20 minutes, dude. You will have a different day. That's my opinion on that. But yeah, let's jump back on Haiden. Yeah, I forget.
No, that's so sweet. I'll actually send you a couple products that I use.
Cool.
That will just, like, that pain in your neck. I do, because I get such tight neck from sitting at the computer for so long. Like, I'll put 10 hours a day at my desk. And so I'll send you a couple things that I use. And then another one is called a So Right, and it's like this thing that goes, it's got like two, like it's like hard plastic, but they're real smooth, and you lay on it. It's for your hips, and it goes in and it releases all the muscles, like in your hip flexors and like your stomach. Dude, the relief. So I've got one kidney as well. I had one. I was only ever born with one, and then I jacked up the one that I got in a snowboard crash at Tahoe. And so then they had to do like the surgery where they cut through the, like they give you the big zip. And so all that scar tissue, dude, around those scars is just like jacked up. And then this thing, I like lay on this a bunch, man, and like it breaks up all that scar tissue. I literally feel like my stomach digests better. Like everything feels better around my stomach because of this. I'll like Amazon you one. But cool. Yeah, anyway. So with Haiden, you've gone
because if anyone out there, I touch on that. If anyone out there has any secrets like on digestion and scar adhesions and how to make it better, how to get through it without surgery, I'm all ears, dude. I need more. I study that. I'm more. It's the one thing in life that I hate. That just ruins my life when it comes around. I don't eat as much as I should because I feel like shit after I eat a lot of times. Like, after I eat certain foods, I'm just like, oh, my stomach hurts so bad. Burp, 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 burp. I'm like, and my wife's like, dude, quit burping. I'm like, dude, I can't help it, man. Like, it's just like I'm jacked. My stomach's jacked up. So anyway, yeah, I deal with that a lot.
Have you ever done any fasting?
No, probably not as much as I should. I've fasted, like I've like not eating dinner, not eating breakfast. Like I've done stuff like that, but not for more than a day.
Dude, you should try. I just listened to a podcast with George St. Pierre, like the UFC, GSP. Yep. So he was talking about he was trying to put on, for his last fight against Michael Bisping, he was trying to put on weight because he was going up a weight class. So he was eating like 6 times a day, and he actually developed this stomach problem. I think it's called like colitis or intesticolitis or something like that. And anyway, they were like, this is a lifelong thing. You're going to deal with this this problem. Like, your stomach won't digest food, like constant reflux, all this shit. And he said as well, sugar. But then he also said fasting's changed his life. So he only eats food on an 8-hour window. So it's 16 hours no food, 8 hours food, 16 hours no food. And then he does these a couple times a year or 3 times a year. He'll do a 3-day water fast where he only has water. And so like all of that extra shit that you've got, because we're just like compact, like you're just pushing food down, and then it's like up to the stomach and the intestines to like filter through it and digest it. And then you're never really getting it to like a zero sum where like you're completely empty. Everything's been flushed out of there. So anyway, he started going on these fasts, and yeah, I'll send you a link to the podcast where he talks about it as well. But man, he said he fully changed his life. He has no symptoms of this thing that they said he'd deal with forever.
That'd be good to hear. Like, I don't know if I could go full day. I could try. Like,
you should do, you should do it though. You should do it just to see.
Down.
You know,
I like challenges.
I'll do it with you. If you do it, I'll do it, because I've never done it. I'll do it with you.
Yeah, I'm down.
But yeah. I'll send you that stuff I was talking about too. I'll just like Amazon it to you guys. But yeah, so with Danger Boy, it was something like we've talked over text on it before. It's funny. So Ben Townley, you remember BT?
Yep. Yeah.
So his kid Levi is I think he's like 11 and is just an absolute little gangster. Like he's killing everybody in New Zealand, and like he's to the point where Ben's like worried about him. He's like, dude, this kid like won't stop training. Like he just doesn't think about anything other than like training and racing and winning. And he had to explain the concept of burnout to him, and so he's kind of dealing with the Haiden as well, because Haiden kind of comes across like that. Like all this kid thinks about is winning, and but Ben's of the exact same opinion. So he messaged me when you guys first put out that video of Haiden riding Supercross on a 125, and that was when he was like, that kid's legit. And that whole program, that whole thing that they're doing, and this is from a guy that, he's one of the best in the world, like a ex-world champion. And he said, he's like, outside looking in, they've got it figured out. They know what's going on.
Yeah, and you got to think it was pretty standard for guys back in the day. Everyone did that, and they got away from it. The only other guy that I think gets it like that is Ferry. His kid.
Yeah,
he had him on a 125, and you see the kid flourish in Supercross, and and Ferry's kid, like I liked him. He's a great guy. I always raced with him back in the day, and his kid was he was fast, but he was like in the 80s and 60s and 80s. I think he was more probably around the second, third place kid. You always had the kid who won, but he was able to focus on Supercross with his kid, and I seen him put a lot of work into him, and his kid's flourishing in Supercross. So I think, I know he knows what to do. Like Ferry knows what to do, like he does. And so, and I give him credit. It's his kid. He can do it his way. I'm not here, like he can do whatever his way, right? That's great. Like I think he's done a great job. With Haiden is, I feel like, okay, we want to do it our way, kind of our way, but it's been done before. I'm not saying, like nothing new, but Haiden came up, has won, everything, him and Dax and Bennett have always kind of had these battles, and they come together to race, and they've, kind of split wins. And either way, Hayden's, won his class quite a bit, and he's come to a point where last year he won Loretta's on an 85, the year before that on a 65. Well, what comes next? What comes next after 85, right? Super Mini, right? As far as I know, that's the class that comes next. So that's what he's going to race this year. Well, the thing is, everyone's like, oh, he's on a Super Mini. He's too big, or he's just cherry picking. It's just too easy. I'm like, you know what, dude? We are following what every rider came before him has done. Okay. Some kids grow a ton when they hit puberty or hit their, 14, 15 years old, and they get 5'10", 5'11", and they have to go to 125. But for me, I'm like, dude, the kid's 5'4", 5'5". Like, he's not too tall. He got a lot of muscle mass, which I'm glad, because I think that's great for racing and protection of your skeleton, skeleton structure. It's great to have a bunch of muscle. And so anyway, he's 135 and he's 5'4", 5'5". He is fine on a Super Mini. There's kids that have been 6 foot that have won Loretta's on a Super Mini. So anyway, I'm still, like, to be honest, kind of torn in between. Does he race a 125 or Super Mini at Loretta's? Whatever. The future is what's important. Like, my future for goals for Haiden is to be good at Supercross, because I'm a worried dad. When he rides that Supercross track, I don't want to be pulling my hair out going, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I want to go, he's got this. Like, he's been doing it since he was a little kid. Like, he's been riding Supercross, because for some reason in America, we put Supercross on as the top of the game. In America, Supercross is the biggest form of dirt bikes, but yet we race motocross as amateurs the whole time. This is weird. What are we doing? Why are we teaching our kids motocross when we want them to be Supercross stars? And we're wondering why they all get hurt. We wonder why there's so many injuries when they start, when they're lights riders. Well, that's fine. That the structure can be that way. I can't control that, but I can control what my kid does. So I'm going to put him on Supercross. I'm going to move him up when I feel it's safe. Oh, why is he not on a big bike? Why is he not on a 250F? Yeah, he could go ride a 250F right now. No problem. All day. He could be competitive. He might actually win on it too. I don't know. Am I ready for him to get thrown off right now on a 250F speed and weight? No. Do I want to see my kid hit the mat at 60 miles per hour on a rough track instead of 30 on a super mini or whatever? No, I'm not ready for that. And neither is he. What I think a rider needs is they need to be built over time. And what messes up my plan? What messes up anyone's plan? Injuries, right? Isn't that what slows up your plan? That slows up everyone's plan. So I'm not going to name riders, but I can name some that have been hurt because they want to be on a big bike so fast. They just had to get to the big bikes. Okay, cool, man. Well, we'll see you guys at the starting gate at Supercross, right? We're all going to meet one day. How we get there, who cares? Why do you care how we get there? All I care is one day my kid will line up, God willing, at A1, at whoever. It may be F1. It may be Florida 1. I don't know, right? Whatever it is. He lines up and he's ready. And I'm confident. I'm in the stands going, man, this kid's got it. He's going to be okay. He's going to be safe. Is he going to win the race? I don't know. Is he going to be safe? Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. That's my goal as a dad, is to get him there with the least amount of injuries as possible. Yeah, we can stack trophies, cool. Whatever. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about my kid going to Supercross with the less scars on his body. And that's kind of where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at. Is he going to be big on a super mini at Loretta's? Hell yeah, he's going to be big. Am I going to feel safer on a super mini than a 250F at Loretta's? Yeah, I am. That's just my opinion. So I know I get it. I get the negatives all the time on social media. Oh, the kid's a cherry picker. I was like, cool, right on, dude. That's my kid. We're gonna do it how we feel. If Haiden said, I don't want to ride a super mini, Dad, I don't feel comfortable on it, I'd be like, cool, dude, let's go. We got work to do. Let's go. We're gonna get on a big bike, but we're gonna take it at our pace and we're gonna do work. And I'll let you know when I feel you're safe to do this, this level, whatever. I don't know. Like I said, but we're running at our pace. We're doing what we need, and we're putting a lot of focus into Supercross. And I think you guys are gonna see a generation of riders that have ridden Supercross since they've been kids. And I think you're gonna see a lot of badasses, dude. You're gonna see a level get even higher than it is now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I'm definitely excited for that, the future in that sense. And what do you think about, if we go off, history, we've only got to look at, let's use Ryan Villopoto and Michael Alessi, and then let's use Adam Cincerello and Cooper Webb. What's your take on the kids that always win as an amateur, not really winning as a pro?
So and you said Cooper Webb and Cincerello.
Yeah.
What other two?
And then you got Alessi and Villopoto. So if we're talking titles, we're talking Villopoto, one of the greatest of all time. Cooper Webb, 3 Supercross championships. And they were both the second fiddle dudes as amateurs to these guys that they're now beating. So it's in my head, if I'm I've got a kid that's wants to do that, I'm dude, don't even trip on winning. Be the fucking second place dude. You know what I mean?
Bullshit.
There's a long no, but you know what I mean? There's a long game to play here where it's okay, don't try and win, but it's hey man, winning these Loretta's titles, what matters is a 450 championship. See what Cooper Webb's about to do? That's what matters. And it's do you have that perspective in mind?
Yeah, but I promise you, when those guys were racing, when Villopoto and Cooper Webb were racing, they didn't want to get second, dude. They were trying to win. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, for sure.
That's not planned, right? Cincerello had the good bikes and he had the support, and he probably was faster at the time. I don't know. He probably was more advanced or had a little better skill set. Some people bloom at different times, and so And Alessi, yeah, he won the championships. He had his ways of figuring out how they were gonna win all those amateur races, and I wish one day he would sit down and tell me all his tricks, man, because the dude was a badass. I give him credit for that. But whatever happened in their training regimen, he wasn't able to carry that into the pro ranks. And I can't say to what that was. I don't know why, mentally it was a mental thing. I don't know why mentally he didn't carry that winning, was it not easy enough to win when he turned pro and then that he couldn't overcome that? Trust me, I think of all this stuff. Like I think of my kid.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, man, is my kid winning, everything? Well, winning, a lot of his races now. And when he goes pro, it's going to be a lot harder. He's not going to win races when he turns pro right off the bat. It's, like Ricky Carmichael told me and when we were talking, he's like, you understand some guys turn pro and they'll never win another race? And I was kind of hit me. I'm like, dude, that's crazy because that's real, I'm like I don't like my daughter. She won a lot of off-road races. She turned in NASCAR. She hasn't won a race since, at the high levels of NASCAR, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But my
which
point
isn't, that's not
is,
like that's not a negative thing. Like the level, like you're at the absolute top now. Like it ain't easy to win.
No, it's not. There's a lot of stuff that comes into that. And I get what you're saying. There's like the ham makers, the guys that didn't have a lot coming up, and all of a sudden you give them a lot, and they're like, "Wow, man, this is great. I'm flourishing. I'm gonna take this to the bank, and I'm gonna work my ass off. I finally got it." So what happens when the kid has it his whole career? Is he when he goes up against those other kids, is he still going to be able to outwork them? And is he still going to be able to beat those dudes who are super hungry and are super appreciative of what they have? Trust me, I think of that all the time, dude. But here's my other side to it. We go to race. I love racing. I love having the best equipment because, man, I'm competitive, man, and I love having the fastest. Because I don't go to my motor guy and say, "Hey, dude, let me pay to build this motor and give me a decent one." Like, no, I'm like, how much does it cost to have the best? Like, cause I didn't have that as a kid, man. Like, I think that shit's dope. Like show me the dyno sheet that's ridiculous. Like, show me the dyno sheet that I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, and I, cause I'm into, like, I love that stuff, dude. And my kid just deals with it, dude. Trust me, my kid ain't in there going, "Oh, Dad, like, let's spend the most money possible and give me the best bike in the world." He ain't saying that. I'm probably creating this, whatever you want to say, whatever it is. But yes, can a kid be an amateur multi-time amateur champion, the kid to beat, and carry that into his pro ranks and keep it going? I don't know. Ricky Carmichael did. James Stewart did. I think it can be done. Cincerillo, I like the guy. I think he's great. I think he's good for the sport. He's a great speaker, great personality. My opinion on what happened when he went pro is, I think of this because my kid's going, in these paths somewhat. So my opinion when he turned pro, I feel like, I wasn't there, but like they're at the test tracks and they're clicking the stopwatch. They're like, damn, this dude's just as fast as all the dudes who are kicking ass at the test tracks. Yeah. This kid's ripping. He's ready to race, man. Let's throw him out there. Someone made that call, and really, was he really ready to go with the big dogs on the gate? Like at 16, 17? Did he move up too quick? That's what it looked like to me. It looked like he, was not probably mentally ready to race with the men, and it took him a few years to go, yeah, okay, I'm ready. His body still had to mature. He changed to a man before our eyes, and he was still a kid when he lined up to race Supercross. He probably didn't even have hair on his nuts. Like, I'm saying? Like, I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying,
no,
dude,
I
seen him turn to a man at like about 18, 19 years old. Whoa, he turned into a big dude. He was riding, what was he, like in the lights class 2-3 years in, and he was like, whoa, that guy got big. Okay. Yeah. I think for my kid, if I have a choice, I would like him to be that big man, body size, when he races
Rookie season.
Supercross.
Yeah.
Rookie season, I want to see him. Like, when I look at Jett Lawrence, I stand next to him. He's a pretty big dude. Like, he's not a kid. Like, he's not a little kid. Like, so I know that's my opinion on that. You know, everyone flourishes at different times. You know, trust me, Cincerillo or Michael Alessi, like, they didn't, and other amateur champions, they go through their career doing what they're supposed to do. They're winning. They're doing what their team wants them to do. They're doing what their dad wants them to do. They're doing it, man. Like, they're winning. That's not, they didn't, that wasn't their choice. They're just doing the best they could. And that's what I feel my kid's doing and other kids are doing. They're trying to win, and they're gonna get to their pro career. Will that affect him? Will no, but I think what him winning is gonna do, it's gonna put him on the best team he can be on, the team of probably his, I wouldn't say his choice maybe, but of our choice. You know, let's be real about it, and he's gonna have the best shot possible, put around the best people to put him in the best position to be a champion. You know, thank you that we're grateful that we're able to be in that position, man. And you know, a lot of people have put in just as much money as I have, just as much work as I have, and haven't had the same results. We're super blessed that my kid has the talent and the drive and the work ethic and I have the ability financially to put him in that position. We understand that that's a huge honor, and we respect that. Like, I am excited to be in that position, you know? So, I mean, don't think we take that for granted. But, you know, there's still a long road to go, dude. We're just talking amateur racing.
Yeah.
This shit ain't shit, man. It ain't shit. It don't mean shit. Like, when I talked to Jason Anderson, he's like, dude, I won like 11 amateur titles, bro. Like, whatever his number was at Loretta's. He's like, you know what that mattered when I lined up at Supercross? It didn't mean shit. He's like, that didn't matter at all. I'm like, yeah, I get what you're saying. I get it, because I was in a meeting at Star Valley Yamaha when I sponsored that team back in the day. A lot of people don't know that. And I sat in those meetings with Jason Anderson. A lot of people don't know this, dude. Like, I was part of that. I was sponsoring those teams back in the day. And Jason Anderson came in for a job. He couldn't, like, no one wanted to hire him. Remember that year when no one wanted him?
Yeah.
Like, no one wanted to hire him. And Mike Craig, or Christian Craig, came in for a meeting too. He was like, those dudes were looking for rides, man. They couldn't even get a ride. Like, they were looking, like, that was not a full blown factory. That wasn't, let's just say that wasn't your first choice as a rider, like, to come to Star Valley Yamaha back in the day, right? But anyway, I saw these dudes at their levels, and these dudes like had won Loretta's a ton of times, you know. So does it matter? You know, like, I don't know, but does it get you a ride? Does it help you put in a good position? Yes. But with the day you turn pro, you better be ready, man. You better be ready, because they're going to give you about a year, maybe 2 if you're lucky, to show what you got. And if you don't, guess what, man? That was cool. You just raced 15 years of your life. Later. Like, on to the next guy. It's cutthroat, bro. I get it. Like, let's not hide that. Let's not pretend that's not the truth. So why wouldn't we put that into consideration when we pick the team we want to ride for? When we pick where I'm going to put the last 15 years of my life and millions of dollars. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not in the 7 figures of amateur racing, which was great time spent. I like, even if my kid doesn't make it in the pros, we spent a lot of great times together, bro. Like, that's why I say, hey, when I see parents yelling at their kids and you know, blah, 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 throwing the bike on the ground, this, that, trust me, I have that anger too at times. But I look at that, man, I'm like, bro, these are times, like, if you don't make it in this sport, which only 0.001% are going to make it in this sport at that amateur racing, and you got to look back and go, bro, I spent a lot of quality time with my kid, man. Do you want that quality time to be like where your kid's like, my dad's a dickhead, man? Like, my dad yelled at me every race. I was a 10th place kid, man. What do you think? I was going to win the damn race? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to look at those days. Like, that's time well spent. I go to the races with, you know, Hudson, man. He's he's barely makes it through the qualifier. And I'm like, dude, we laugh and have fun with it. And you know, like, I'm not like throwing his bike out the motorhome or on the ground, you know, like I have both ends of the spectrum, dude. So anyway, I'm just trying to speak from, you know, being around the sport for a long time, but going to the pro ranks, like with Haiden, like, you know, like I said, his is loud. I mean, I don't care. I'll talk about it. Like, this is his year. His contract's up, man. Like, you don't think we strategize this? You don't think I don't know, like, the game and how the system works, you know? And we have a ton of respect for KTM, man. They picked him up. Mike Sleater was the one who sponsored Haiden on Orange Brigade the first time when he was on a Cobra. They said, yeah, we want to pick him up. And he had to race the KTM, or he went to the KTM 50. And he's been with KTM since he's been a little kid. I respect that. I honor that. You know, I respect that they've helped us this many years, 100%. But, you know, like I've told them, I've told everyone, I'm going to put Haiden in the best place possible to win a championship. And that's what everyone's in this for, right? So what do championships do? They sell bikes. Well, what do the factories want? They want to sell more bikes. Like, that's what the job is. So at the end of the day, I think Haiden Deegan has probably has sold a lot of dirt bikes. I don't know. Like, in the last few years, I think he's right. So, man, I feel like that. I get it. People help amateurs all through their career for one day to have this payoff. One day they're going to race pro and they could win a championship and they're going to sell dirt bikes for us. Let's be honest. That's what the job is. That's what it's all about, you know? So I think, like, you know, there's a new generation right now. We do social media now that just came around in the last, you know, decade, and kids are selling dirt bikes now earlier than the pro ranks. So, you know, like Haiden, I feel like he sold some dirt bikes to some kids over the years. Some kids have bought KTMs because they have watched the YouTube channel or watched the social media. And I think we've done our part. I think we've done our part. I've invested a lot of money in that social to help our sponsors benefit, and you know, and so I think that helps when we go to make a decision of what team to race for in the future. I think, you know, I can't look back at it like, well, we helped you all these times to get this payoff at the end of the road. I think we've been patting each other on the back the whole way, man. Like, I don't want to sound like rude or, you know, this, that, but I think we've done our fair share, and I respect people who have helped us along the way. But like I said, where would you go right now if you want to win a lights championship?
Star Yamaha.
So what do we do?
Go to Star Yamaha.
I know.
Thor, Monster, fast as fuck bike.
Yeah. And like I said, I love KTM. I love what they've done for us. You know, and I want to be there. We want to be there. 100%. That's it. Like, so, and Haiden does. Hayden's like, I asked Haiden, I'm like, what do you think, man? I go, can you win? Like, you think you could win on Husky, Gas, KTM? Because that's where you're at. He looked at me, he's like, yeah, I think I can win. I think I could win on that bike. And I'm like, all right, man. Like, that's what I want to hear it, man, because you're the one riding it, not me, dude. And so these are serious conversations, man. I've invested a lot in this, in our racing world, in this career. And at the end of the day, we enjoyed the ride, but like, I wanted to see my kid win a championship, dude. And if you know, if they can provide that, cool, let's do it, man. I'm all in. So, and that's the tough road we're at right now, you know? And I know they can do it, bro. They do it in the 450 class, man. They kick ass in the 450 class. The
KTM. You can win on a KTM. You can win on a KTM. You can win on a Honda. You can win on a Kawasaki, and you can win on a Yamaha. I will say, like, my personal. Have you ever ridden the YZ250F?
No.
Dude, that bike's
it's the
ridiculous.
only bike I haven't ridden. Yeah, it's the only bike I haven't.
You should just ride one, dude. They're really good, like really, really good. So I ride KTM. Really? I got a KTM 350. Like, that's what I own. Yeah. But yeah, I would 100% get a KTM, a YZ 250F as well. They're a really great bike. There's a reason why that team has done so well. That they just, every now and again, man, a manufacturer just nails a motorcycle, and that was it.
So how long do you think that's gonna last?
Who knows? Who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, did they just get lucky? Because no one's been able to win on the 450, but that 250, like, that 250 is honestly, like, the best I've ever ridden a motorcycle was in New Zealand on a stock YZF 250 that Townley gave me. And, like, I was blown away when I rode it. I was like, holy shit, this bike's crazy good. And I'm not that good of a rider, you know what I mean? So, but, I mean, you get to that factory level. I don't think that, I mean, they can really do anything, like, depending on the lane that you're in. You know, you're on a factory KTM team. I think you guys are in, like, this is one of my questions for you that I would love to know is, like, I wondered if you would have even said, like, we kind of don't need a factory team. Like, we could, I'm sure you could get a factory bike and you could get factory shit and you could run, you know, Deegan 38 and you could have Dax as his teammate and you could run the program and build a program around him. Or you could take your pick of the best team. Like, I wondered genuinely what you'd do. But I've thought about that whole team thing and doing it yourself. And it's like, I don't know, maybe it's not the move. Maybe it is the move to just, like, go, hey, I've done what I can for 15 years. And Roger DaCosta, you seem to know what you're doing. Mitch Payton, you seem to know what you're doing. Tyler Keefe, you seem to know what you're doing. You know, here you go. Here's this kid that, you know, make him into a champion. I've done my best. Or you try and keep control. Like, I don't know. You guys you're in a unique position where, like, you don't even need a ride.
Yeah, you know, we've built a lot of relationships over the years, and, you know, Chad Reed's done it. He's done his own team, you know, and I've thought about that. You know, what if we could bring Ford into the sport? What if we, you know, did a Ford, you know, say Monster Ford, you know, all the sponsors. We have a lot of relationships, you know, a lot of people that probably would come on board and bring a lot of, you know, endemic outside sponsors to the sport. It'd probably be a good thing. But I always think, too, do I really need that another thing on my plate? Do I need another deal, like, on my plate when I could just say, okay, we did our work. Now it's time for me to kick back and, well, you know, watch from the stands, from a suite, and watch my kid race for a team if that happens, you know? And trust me, all those things go through my head. But I'm like,
oh, dude,
know,
for
man.
sure.
I appreciate what people have done to me. I try to have loyalty, but then again, I'm a realist too, man. Like, I know if my kid doesn't do good for 2 years, he's gone. Like, I get it, dude. Like, you know, like, there ain't no secret to it. Like, so, but I think, you know, I don't know. Trust me, we're at a gnarly crossroads, dude. You know, Monster's been great to me. I was their first athlete.
That's your big problem. That's your big problem, dude. So you go to I'm not telling you anything you don't know. You go to Star Yamaha, you keep Monster, you keep Thor. That's one of the impressive things about you. I think that, like, if you don't know you at all, and if you got, like, no connection, but all you've got is you can look back at this timeline of photos of Brian Deegan, you're like, this motherfucker's had the same sponsors for 20 years. Like, that's a hallmark of, like, a person that's good to deal with. So I think, like, I bank that information. So when I'm playing out this scenario of, like, the whole Danger Boy deal, it's like, all right, they're probably not going to drop Monster. That's probably going to fuck with the KTM deal. And then, you know, you go to Star Yamaha. You don't have to drop Monster. You don't have to drop Thor, but you lose the relationship with KTM. I will say, like, from my own personal dealings, the connection that you can have to the factory with KTM is pretty incredible. Like, you know, you talk to Roger DaCosta, then Roger DaCosta's on the phone to Matagoffin, you know, and they're just like, they know they can do what you want to do. Like, to be on a Yamaha, like, even me as a KTM owner, like, I own a KTM 350, I can text Tyler Keefe and be like, hey, dude, what should I do here? Like, he's my homie. I feel like a connection, and I know that he's super connected to, like, the factory. I feel like I'm actually a part of the family of KTM, and I got access. Like, Yamaha, dude, like, who the fuck is Mr. Yamaha? Like, you know what I mean?
100%, dude. And that all goes through my head. And I'm, like I said, at a gnarly crossroads. You know, a lot of time and money invested in my kid to make it as a, you know, pro in the sport. And you can't skip the lights class, dude. You don't just get to go to 450. Like, you have to go through those 3 to 5 years of lights. And so, man, like I said, I put it on the table. Where do you put the kid to win a championship? You know, but he doesn't race pro for at least another 2 years. So, you know, maybe 3. You know, 3 is probably more like it. So what happens in 3 years? You know, you know, I don't know. But teams
do you need to be sponsored by a manufacturer? Like right now, like, do you need to even, so like, let's say your contract year, you could just go like, hey guys, we're just going to be like free agents for 3 years and we'll just run like our own shit, get like a black bike with like your own graphic, you know, just do your own little thing, try a couple different things out. But you know what I mean? But I would say I definitely like the marketing content side of me would be like, fuck yeah, Deegan 38 team, baby. Ford, Monster, sick rig, like pick your own teammates, you got you. But honestly, like from the content marketing, like that brand side, that would be so sick. But I don't think that would be like the best way for Haiden to win a championship. And that's what, like, it was interesting. You know, that was like one of my big things with you is like, dude, I wonder where his headspace is with that, because like the move, probably, like if you're just the parent that genuinely wants your kid to win, like the move is probably to like get as hands off as possible in terms of like the truck, and like let the team do that, let Haiden figure out how to win, like don't be super involved. Like, dude, honestly, you probably do you know Darren Lawrence at all?
I don't think so.
But that's like Jett and Hunter's parent. Dude, talk to that guy. He's figured it out. Like, honestly, the relationship that he still has with both his boys, and like the level of like hands on, hands off that he is with the team, I think he's got like a good mixture, and he's probably a dude worth talking to. But yeah, so I mean, in my head, I'm like, fuck, starting your own team, doing all that could be insane. The content, like the brand, that's probably not the best thing for the kid. So, but even now, it's like, do you even need to make the call right now? Like, can you just have 3 years where you're just like, we're just going to chill for a bit, do our own thing, you know?
So my next question is, if you're getting your kid to the goal to win a Supercross championship in the lights class, which is very tough, okay? Very tough. Only a few people will ever pull that off, right? What do you do with him for the next 3 years? My opinion is, what do you do to get him ready for that gate drop when he goes to Supercross? What is your best move? Because you realize you don't start getting ready for Supercross the year you race Supercross, right? You know what I'm saying? Once you get on a lights bike, what's your best move? What do you do? What do you do to get?
I think you guys are doing it. I think you guys are doing it now, man. Like, you got a track in the backyard, and he's riding Supercross constantly. I think like we sort of started this topic was the fact that he's on a 125. Like, that's huge for him. You know, like, it's just purely like, this should just be purely developmental and purely selfish, you know? Like, I feel like a lot of people, especially a lot of kids, like, I mean, dude, I was the kid that wanted like the coolest gear and the coolest bike and the coolest this. Like, I wanted to be that kid because we sort of didn't have it. But it's just like, man, there's so much shit that you should be doing as a kid, like, to just develop as a human, like what you want to be. Because, man, I've seen so many fucking dirt bike riders that are just incredible dirt bike riders, and like, you look up to them and you're just like, this guy is insane. They just don't know life. Like, they're just not developed humans. It's not to say that they're bad humans. There's, you know, not a bad bone in their body, but it's like, dude, you don't know shit about life. Like, your probably best bet of the next 3 years is like, keep your kid riding Supercross on the best equipment, the safest way possible, and just make that kid like the best person that he can be, the best person to deal with challenges, the best person to deal with adversity. You know, like you said, like going to third world countries. Like there's probably so much shit that you could do to develop a child outside of just like being in the gym and riding a dirt bike. Like maybe that's the issue, is a lot of people do just get caught up so much in like what team they're on, what bike they're on, what gear sponsor they got, their social media. It's like, dude, when the rubber hits the road, like right now, what you're seeing with Ken Roczen and Cooper Webb, you're seeing a battle of two men. And it literally is like the best man will win. Cooper Webb is like a better man than Ken Roczen on a Saturday night. You know what I mean? Like in terms of helmet goes on. And I fucking love Ken. Like honestly, like he's one of my boys. But in terms of this championship, when the helmet goes on, it's like that's a real, Cooper Webb's like a real developed human. Like he can get into a headspace. He can back himself in a fight. He can like deal with crazy pressure. He can get a bad start, and it doesn't matter where he is on the track at 10 minutes into a main event. Like there's something that he's developed over time in his head that he knows for a fact that he can't be fucked with. Even if he's in sixth, halfway through a main, Ken Roczen's got a 12-second lead. So like that ain't about the team that he's on. That ain't about the gear that he's running. That ain't about nothing. That's some like deep-rooted human shit that kid, you know what I mean? Like that's something he's figured out, and then that's like a part of his toolbox. And it's like, so if you're asking me, like that's probably what you got to develop more than a motorcycle, like a KTM or a Yamaha. Fuck, you can win races on both of those bikes, especially if you're on a team. But like what you're gonna need in your back pocket more than the brand of motorcycle, like whatever Cooper Webb has right now, like mentally and like inside him, that's what you need to develop in the next 3 years.
Okay, so I get where you're coming from on that 100%. I feel like I'm gonna just keep going with this, but why didn't he do that then on a Yamaha? Why didn't he do that on a Yamaha 450? Why didn't that Cooper Webb, who he is right now, come out on a Yamaha 450? You know, and could Cooper Webb of today beat the Ken Roczen of 4 or 5 years ago before Ken had his injuries, when he was on the KTM 450, when he was unbeatable? You know, I think Ken Roczen has a better riding technique than Cooper Webb. Cooper Webb just has more grit, and he's peaking at a different time in his career. I think the Cooper Webb of today racing the Ken Roczen of yesterday would have a tough go. You know, but they're peaking at different times in their career. And I look at Cooper Webb. He had that grit inside of him, but he couldn't do it on a Yamaha 450, could he? And so now you put him with the right team and the right support system that clicked with him, and he flourished. That's the key, is putting these riders with the right infrastructure that they can click with. And so in the lights team that's been winning lately, they have found that magic in the bottle. Yeah, and their lights 450 is badass. It's fast. Everyone knows that. But you know, I just, like I said, I want to see that perfect magical winning lights program. You know, like I mean, I just wish that program. I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, like, you like to, their 450 program so badass over there. I just wish that was already mirrored in the lights class, to be honest. And I know they can do it. They already do it now. KTM's badass. They can do it.
Hey,
but
Brian,
I just hopefully
Deegan,
that comes.
Brian,
it comes soon.
I need to stop you right there. Ricky Carmichael won on a fucking Suzuki.
Yeah, you're right. No, I hear you. So like I said, I have all the respect in the world for KTM. That's where we want to be. You know, I love that the owner, you could call the head guys who run it, and they're dirt bikers. They ride dirt bikes. They love it. I don't know who runs the other brands. I don't know. I know that whole company lives and breathes dirt bikes. I love that. I love motorcycle enthusiasts. That's my world. That's my people. Like, I love it.
Yeah, KTM
like,
don't make pianos.
No, I want to roll over. I want to go over to KTM with my son, and I want to meet all the guys. I want him inbred in that company to where he's a lifer, man. Like I want to where if he wants to go do GNCC, they got a bike for him. If he wants to go do the Work Series race, they got a bike for him. You know, like all that stuff. And I think that next year, my opinion is, which you've already had these discussions, 250 mod intermediate year next year is a year of like, let's go to Europe and ride. Let's go do some flat track. Let's go do some GNCC.
Yes.
Let's sharpen this toolbox,
Yes.
man. Let's not go win a couple more 5 to 6 lap amateur nationals that are
Yes.
doing nothing for your pro career. Let's go sharpen this toolbox. And I think we're all on that same page, man. Imagine if
Build
a
the
rider said,
human.
you know what? Yeah, build a human, travel the world. And imagine if you took a rider and said, okay, we're going to go do 5 or 6 more disciplines of riding 2 wheels, and then we're going to bring you back to the pro class. You know, like let's do a Plessinger when it gets muddy, he shines because of GNCC. Let's do a little bit of that. Let's do a little bit of flat track when it gets dry, slick. We're going to do a little bit of that. You know, so that, you know, the list goes on. So that was my picture of like, you know, let's go through KTM's model of all the resources and let's use them all. Let's see if we can build this rider instead
That's
of
so
going to those
sick.
amateur races. That's my idea that I have, but I don't know if we're gonna make it like live that or not. And then, like you said, you could just throw them at Star Yamaha in the next 2 or 3 years, and you know what they do, right? I mean, there's that. You know, if we're gonna play some odds gambling in Vegas. Okay, those are your best odds, right? We're all realists here, right? So, but there is that sense of wanting to be a lifer at KTM, man. So, you know, trust me, we are at these tough crossroads. And I don't, like, once you get on a big bike, there isn't any more like, these are throwaway years. You know, he's on a big bike.
Yeah.
He's 15, 16. Let's idly ride. Let's idly just ride our Supercross track. No, you need to be with some pros. Iron sharpens iron, and you need to be getting better. You need to get your ass handed to you every day at that test track by fast dudes to where you're like, whoa, I'm not there yet. Okay, let's get better. And that, you know, that's the program that needs to happen. That's the scenarios you need to be thrown into. But then again, you're a 15-year-old kid, man, in California, and you know, and you're like, okay, what's my life, and am I really ready to leave and go away and be, you know, fully in this pro training scenario? There's so many pieces to the puzzle, dude.
Yeah.
You know, there is, and I don't know what the right answer is, dude. You know, I wish there was.
I think that
you know,
the fact that, you know, like one thing I'd say is the fact that you're searching is so good. And I mean, it's sort of, you know, even the fact that you still want to learn about leadership, like you're searching, and it's like there kind of isn't a right answer. I think there's just a process of like, that's what I always try and say to people, like, if they're like, I feel lost with this or lost with that, I'm like, all right, there is no pot of gold. Like, there's no road that leads to this place where you're like, oh fuck, I'm good now, like this is where I'm at. The thing is that, like, you're either off the track or you're on the track. Just be on the track and moving forwards, and then that's kind of like almost as good as you can hope for. Like, if you have this thing in your mind where it's just like there's this perfect exact thing that you've got, then like you're fucked, because so much of like life is not at that finish line. So it's like, just get on the road, keep searching, keep looking, and like that attitude that you've got towards that, I think is so sick. And for you to say that, maybe we should go do some flat track, we should go do this, we should go 100%, man, because Haiden, dude, like, gets to be a kid now. Like, he still is a kid. He's got these other things going on. When he's a fucking pro, dude, like his first season, his life will cease to exist completely. It's only going to be motorcycles. And like, if you don't give a kid like him a chance to, which I think you guys do a great job, but man, to take out that time, be like, hey dude, pressure's off to win a couple of these titles now, you know what I mean? Like, let's go and do some cool shit, like even put him in a car, like all this different stuff. That's just exposure of you know, to all these other disciplines. And it's like, then you get back in the grind, like you've just kind of, like, how many dudes, Jason Anderson, he's over the grind, dude. Like, all of these boys that are like at that, they're over the grind, man. And it's like, you want to make him grind for, like, it's not the start of the career, it's like the years before, man. If you're just going to throw him in, and you're right, like when you're on a big bike, that grind starts. And there's an interesting story, like maybe it's worth looking up for you. There's this guy, you know, Lomachenko in boxing.
Yeah, I've heard of the name.
Yeah, so Lomachenko, Russian boxer, one of the greats, dude. Like, insane. He's got the most insane footwork of any boxer ever. And his dad stopped him from boxing for 3 years and put him in the Russian ballet. You know, it's like, that's an extreme example. But, man, that paid off dividend. You can't hit the dude. Like, you literally, he goes pro, you can't hit him. And it's kind of what you said with Plessinger in the mud. It's like, it pisses down rain. AP is just the dude. So it's like, I think that's huge for you to even be thinking of that vein of like, hey, let's just get him out of this like grind, you know, for that short period of time where you still can, because once you're in, dude, you can't dip. Like, you get on that hamster wheel of like trying to win a professional title, bro. You're on the wheel until you're off the wheel. You're not half in, you're not half out. So like, to, you know, take that time to get these like weird skills, weird life experience, go to Europe, make him drive where there's no fucking road signs in English. And, you know, there's just so much stuff that adds to the, you know, building up that champion human.
And so this is what we did we took a chance with freestyle motocross, right? We walked away from a sport of racing, and I took a chance with building action sports. It worked, right? Boom, blew up. We found a new way. We found a new way to make a living and entertain the crowds. So there's always the proven way, right? The proven way that's worked forever for becoming a Supercross champion. What if we took the chance and said, you know what, 250 intermediate year, it's kind of like it's that next step learning year. Let's go and do 5 or 6 disciplines and come back in what's the worst that's going to happen? You basically missed out on a year of grinding laps on a Supercross track and outdoor track, which you're still going to do, right? You're just not going to do
which
that
you still
every
do,
day.
yeah.
Which you still do. And I feel like Hayden's pretty advanced in the Supercross game due to having a whole life of riding Supercross. So I think we could give up 6 months to 8 months to go adventure this. And secondly, imagine the content that would come from all those different disciplines.
Dude.
Like all the people you would meet that love what you love. 2 wheels and an engine. Like that's what I'm trying to explain to people. Like, that's my passion. Like, my passion is 2 wheels and an engine, dude. I don't care whatever it comes on, like whatever form. Those are the people I relate with. You get like when I say, you know, that feeling you get when you ride a dirt bike or a motorcycle and you release stress and you feel way better afterwards. Those are the people I like to deal with. And so anyway, that'd be opening that range of people that we get our community. And yes, I think imagine if you're like, man, that's crazy, dude. You did it a little different way and you turned out with a better result. That's how that's why you take chances in life, right? To create a new path. And so anyway, I get it. That sounds crazy, but it doesn't, because we've already discussed that path. And you have to be willing to take that chance and go with someone who has those resources, in which we do. But like you said it, the way, if I was putting my money down, you would just go to Star Yamaha and put them in that machine and see if they could pump out a champion. Which they've proven that they have many times. But like, you know, if Hayden's 15, 16 years old, is he going to be okay leaving to a training camp, most of his year? And, by the time he turns 18, 19, is he going to be like, Dad, oh man, this is like, man, I don't know, man, I've been at this a while, and peak way early? You're going to peak early. You don't want to peak till later, right? You want to peak later. Like Cooper Webb,
it's like you said
about and peaked
like
again.
You said, yeah. Yeah, you said Coop didn't win on a Yamaha. Who gives a fuck? He won 2 on a KTM. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but imagine if he never... Here's my thing. When I saw Cooper Webb down and out and everyone was turning on him like they do, right? And he's not a winner. He can't win anymore. I'm like, no, dude. That dude's a champion. I watch him wax everyone on the lights bike, come from last at Anaheim and beat it. Like, I've watched this dude come from the back and win by a ways. Yeah. He's a champion. I'm like, that dude's a champion. He hasn't found the right home. Well, like right when that went down, KTM picked him up. I'm like, how's this gonna work? They believed in him. They put him in a working environment, and he flourished, dude. And so, what is that environment, right? In the lights class, trust me, that's gonna work with Hayden's personality. That's gonna work with any of these top kids' personalities. And so that's the mystery that you gamble with, right? It's all a gamble, right? Like that's kind of that's the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, I have a lot of respect for the people that have supported me over the years. Monster understands. Like the head of, one of the head of marketing over there at Monster, Covington, his kid raced professionally in Europe, and he was on Rockstar. They get it. They're cool. They're like, hey, we get it. Wherever Haiden has to go to be a champion, we understand that. We get that.
Dope.
Like, so I'm not stressing super bad, even though, we do have a loyalty with him. And they do sponsor Supercross. They do sponsor Loretta's. They sponsor X Games. They are the company you want to be with. Like, I'm not like, that's obvious. But like I said, we got to put Haiden at the right home where he's gonna flourish. And that's like, it's like I said, that's the same with everyone.
Yeah. You know what you do? You spend next year hanging out with Ryan Sipes doing all the shit he does.
Yeah, which might not be a bad thing, right? Learning how to have overall bike skills, right? Like, imagine when you fly in. So imagine when you're flying into turn 1 in Vegas and they just watered the track and it's ice, right? And you're flat tracking sideways and you're in. Well, all of a sudden you did flat track for 2 or 3 months and you're completely comfortable.
I raced Kentucky Derby with I raced Kentucky with old Sipes.
Yeah, exactly. Like I dig what Sipes does because it's so cool to see a guy be good at multiple disciplines. And that's the athlete that I was talking about when Travis Pastrana, when I thought, okay, Travis Pastrana is a quitter. Okay. He quit racing. He turned on his factory ride. And then later I'm like, whoa, dude, that dude started a whole new avenue for athletes. He's a multi-time athlete, a multi-discipline athlete. Whoa, this dude's a genius. This dude's a badass. Like, and he paved the way for everyone to do that afterwards. And so anyway, I agree. I think, I agree. I mean, there's the more you can sharpen your tool or have more tools in your toolbox, the better.
Yeah. Well, hey, mate, I've kept you really long time. Let's do this again. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. I really appreciate the time that you've given, and you're a fucking legend. It just is what it is. Yeah.
Thanks, dude. Like I said, I appreciate the time you've spent in this space, right, dude? It's not easy. It's not easy spending hours and hours and hours and hours talking about dirt bikes, even though it's fun, right? Like, that's your passion, but it's still a job. It's the reason there's not everyone doing it. It's because it's not easy, dude. Like, it's a process, and respect you giving back to the community. And I think the community appreciates that. That's why I'm sitting here, dude, because I'm like, I didn't like when you called me a sellout on social media. Like, I wasn't like, this guy's my friend. Like, this guy's cool right here. I was like, this guy's a dickhead, dude. I'm like, who is this fucking guy? And anyway, but I'm sitting here today because I have respect for what you've done. Otherwise, we're all busy, right? Like, we got shit to do. But overall, let's go down this journey together, man. Let's see. Let's all support each other, and let's see. Let's try to make the right decisions. If you see something, or if your viewers or listeners see something, you're like, you know what? I see this for Haiden, or I see that. Let's hear it, man. I'm open ears, dude. I'm open. Like, anything to make Haiden enjoy his career more and enjoy his life more. I'm open ears, dude. Dirt bikes are awesome, but there's life too. There's other things to life that you have to have, a love for life and enjoy your time on this earth, man. So I want to make sure my kids do that too. So there's a lot of importance in enjoying who you are and enjoying life. So I'm all ears, man. Appreciate the time.
Nah, man, like, I got love for you, man. I really appreciate it. And thanks so much. We'll definitely do it again. Hopefully, we can get this other setup built, and I can come and do one of these in person with you.
Yeah, for sure. We're here, man. This is the Moto town here, so we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Brian. I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Yeah, right on.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search GYPSY Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. GYPSY Gang.